Lawrence Holtz, one. Here. Christopher Eagle Bear. Todd Bear Shield. Sebastian Cowboy Wright.
Here.
Stanley Woodknife Jr. Michelle Horn Bear. Royal Yellowhawk. Robert Randingly. Charles Ray Jr.
Here.
William J. Marshall. Wayne Frederick.
Wayne, are you here?
Here.
Emily Boyd Belandra.
Hon.
Alvin Bearhill Sr.
Here.
Terry Wright here. Devlin Wilcox. Here. Lila Kilton Michael Bolt Sr.
Here.
William Kendall.
Here.
Ben Blackbear III. Marion Little Thunder. 11 present.
We have 11 present. We have a quorum. Royal, will you do the invocation for us, please?
Lama culture ke wagla ka pi ka ta wagla ka oktolona ta ko cha ya ka hekta ke wagla ka we wagla gucha shana ha ita cha we na ha we ana wa egle pi ka hekta ke ta ko se chet ke ho kucha pi tlo we chot ha chi ojla chte ojla hogna le ta ko cha ya ka hekta ke ta chu ku pi tlo na ha ya wa ku ka pi kiksi pi ta ka we cho ga ni tlo wa chi ta pi ta na ha ya hekta ke Saka kajo kiksia pikta ka chozari walking to lo na oyate hogna work to chahapi ka hekta ke bagane shichaya khasne ta ko washte chetka hokcha pikta lo na le mokoche ki wagla koktalo ka hekta ke ta ogla koktalo wichot ha chewajila chate wajila hogna takio mansanik to lo mitaka asi Koga Sharaya Kawa Kera Owe Kishni Henajik Tela Eyochlate Hayay Oyatake Hayay Weche Chagek Tacha Le chamo velo yo lo ya polo.
Secretary, can you read off those that wanted to be excused today?
Robert Bradley, Stan Woodknife Jr., Lila Kilton Ben Blackbear III, Todd Bear Shield, William Bill Marshall, Michelle Hollowhorn Bear, Christopher Eagle Bear. Marion is on her way. We'll be done.
Need a motion to excuse? Charles, need a second? Michael, question? Totes, all in favor? Opposed?
Zero.
Not voting?
Zero.
Motion carried. On today's agenda is primarily a special meeting for the grazing resolutions, and so that's all that we're going to meet on today. If there's any other requests, you can get them to the Secretary's office for the meeting on the 27th. With that, we'll go ahead and start on the grazing resolutions. Wayne?
Yes, Madam Chair. So Land and Natural Committee has reviewed what the Grazing Association and the public meetings have been taking in for notes. And on this document, you'll see that they're in pink. Ones that London Natural had kind of made are in blue. And if anybody would like to, I guess, I don't know when we want to take in the public comment. I think there were some that wanted to address council.
We can do that now so that we can have the opinions or their comments. So, Emily?
I have a quick question. Whenever we had our land and natural meeting, we made some comments and I don't see them on the slide, Wayne. Do you know where those are?
They're in blue.
Okay, for example, like in letter B, we talked about updating those to be more accurate to what they are right now, and I don't see those changed. So I was just wondering what happened to those changes.
Which one?
We went through all of them, but just looking at B, that 1882, that was from the previous 10 years. Now we're like in 22 or 20 something. And so when we talked with BIA, they recommended us starting us in what it is right now with the understanding that it's going to go up in years, but that we shouldn't lock ourselves into the previous 10 years amount. And right now we're about, I think, $4 to $5 more.
It's at 20.
The secretary will check to see why the blue isn't on the.
Are we having Ray and Sunny here?
Chris?
Ray and Sunny? No, he was just in the hallway.
Do you need him to come back? They're having, they're at a meeting next door, him and Shelley.
Can we put it as amended at the current rate? Emily?
Huh?
If we put it at current rate, amended?
Yeah, because I think there might have been another part too, but when we get there, I'll see if I.
Mike?
Do something.
My primary interest is that
Ray Hart?
it always has been primarily the interest of the tribe as a whole. It's our land, our people own it, we represent them. Our responsibility to get what the land is worth. I've always felt that about it. So I would like some discussion and some explanation as to the rates that are being recommended, and just the economics of it, and how it would benefit the tribe.
Any other council have a comment? Sherry?
Thank you. So just my understanding that this resolution comes up every few years. Is it 5? 10 years?
10.
Going forward, we should really make this is the longest resolution that I've ever seen. And I think that this should be more of like a policy with an approving resolution page. And I just make that suggestion just because I feel like if there's changes in the minimums as far as the pricing goes, that should be a little more flexible. But I just wanted to make that comment that having this as a whole resolution, I don't know what the thought process was behind that. So maybe Eric could weigh in on that later on in the day. Because that's something just for future reference that we can consider.
Thoughts?
Good morning to everyone, especially to those out there that's listening. But we have our ranchers and people that have shares also in this room, so they need to be heard today too, because a lot of these decisions that are being made, the people behind us, Wayne, should be heard also.
Who needs to be here?
The ones that are here be heard.
Pay attention. But they should be able to be heard also, because our committees, sometimes when we make our decisions, sometimes they're not made for the best interest of the people. So let's hear them out, but it's not fair that just certain ones are making these decisions that affect everyone's future.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I forgot to ask earlier. I just wanted to kind of, since we're all here, what our approach is gonna be. Like I anticipated maybe having it on the screen so that we could all read as we go together, but since that's not set up and we have it in front of us, was that how we'll be doing it? Kind of going through and just talking about the changes? Because it is pretty lengthy, but not everything in there is new. So just because there's been some discussion, I think, at the meetings prior up to it, some more discussion at the most recent land and natural meeting. And then I think right now is where we need to make sure that all of those edits, all of the talk and changes and stuff have went through. So I just wanted to check, is that kind of the approach that we're going to be doing, is maybe just going through and only talking about the changes, or what should we be expecting today? Thank you.
Because it was scheduled when I wasn't here, I feel like those of you that are on land and natural can take the lead in this, chair, vice chair, and get the floor for those tribal members that have a comment to make in regard to those changes. Unless you want to read those changes out and then take comment. Sherry?
Thank you. I think, maybe we should get a sign-in sheet going for everybody that wants to get the floor. And then we can start going through Councilwoman Boyd's head. And if you want to lead us, Wayne, you and Councilwoman can lead us through these. And then once we get through there, we can open up the floor for.
Take this around to
people that are
everybody.
here. So anybody who wants to sign in can.
Royal?
Yeah, I just had a question on the, is there a exclusion of ballots? Did you guys include that in your, no? Also, community constituent wanted to get the floor whenever they allow people to.
Do you want to read off the changes, or do you want us?
Well, that's why I asked. I said there was people from the public that had points that they wanted to bring up, but I didn't know how you do it in this kind of setting. If we're going to go over these one by one, then do we want to have the public say what they want one by one, or do we hear what they want to say first before we dive into the document?
Well, let's hear what they have to say first.
That's what I thought.
Which one?
How are we gonna get the floor barely perfectly this way?
Yeah, I'll just start and go around the room. If you have something to say, you can say it. If not, we'll move on to the next person. But I do need a council rep to get the floor for them,
Okay.
according to our policies. Okay, Wayne. So, Joe, do you have anything to comment? No? Dick? No? Roxanne? Tammy?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I just want to, on Emily's note, you know, there was land, we had a land and natural meeting.
After the
Right, after we kind of went through what's supposed to happen, and you said there were some changes, but that aren't on here.
I didn't have time to look at all of this one. I'm sorry, I left my folder at home, but I just noticed there was a couple of things that weren't showing up in this version.
Okay, so, how are we like supposed to know then, like, what those were?
It's
You know,
just the
and
amount.
that's kind of concerning to me then, you know, because we met as a group multiple 10 times, you know. We had our final meeting, and so I just want to, you know, be able to know what those changes were that aren't on here.
Does everyone in the room have a copy of the changes? If you don't have one, they are over at the corner where Mike Foltz is sitting. If you don't have one, please get one so you know what we're going over.
If they're not here, they won't be approved, right? Because they're not in the books. There's nothing that's gonna be stated in.
All it was an amendment to the AUMs that are being charged by BI now. And so Sonny texted me and said it's 2215, and that's what it has been.
Change 1882 to 2215.
No, it's at page 1, section C, or section B.
Correct. Yes, right, sure.
Okay. The $14 stays the same.
I think they all are up a bit, but that's why I thought maybe
It goes to 2215. It's per AUM on all lands.
For the allotted, she was asking about
The
the
allotted
tribal, she was
interest.
asking about the tribal number 14.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So Wayne, the 1882 should be 2215.
Thank you for the from 1882.
14 should be 18.
That 14 was
So where that okay, so the $14 is what TLE charges for the minimal tribal rate.
that stays.
And that stays. But the 1882 moves to the 2215 because that's the allotted rate by BIA set.
And we're on page 1.
Yep.
Okay.
The only other change in that area was keeping it at 10-year. There was some discussion about 5 to 10, but that is the
You need a
consensus.
tenure. Sammy, did you have any other comment?
No, that, I was, like, right now, it was just on Emily's.
Okay. How about Chumps?
Right.
Yeah.
Justin Schmidt, I was just gonna, correct me if I'm wrong, Wayne, but this, the AUM rate that you're talking about right now, even, it's able to be changed within the 10-year contract period, correct? They do an amendment to it.
Yeah, he does that periodically. It
So,
was
they still-
1840 something, and then all of a sudden they went to 1882, and they used to ask the tribe, and then all of a sudden about 7 years ago, they stopped, and they just started instituting it in the CFRs.
That goes by an Olympic weighted average, right? So I was just trying to clarify that just because it's a 10-year contract or 10-year resolution, doesn't mean that the AUM price will stay at that.
No.
For that, I mean, it could go up.
No.
Yeah, I've seen it go up. It could go up according to the weighted.
Because that's for allottees that own within a range unit,
Correct.
and we don't really have control over that.
So that would be one thing that can be adjusted in the 10-year time frame. So, or has been adjusted over the 10-year time.
I just wanted to add, and it does say in there that that's allowable and that it has to be conferred with the tribal council. So that is right in there in that second paragraph of B.
Yep.
Okay, I don't know everybody's name, so we're just going around the room. So as we go, if you have a comment, then you have the floor. Do you have a comment?
I do
No? Okay. No? No? Tuffy? Do you have a comment?
you want to talk about.
No? Anyone else?
I do.
Okay.
You got
Okay. As a group, we worked really hard on this for several months, this last fall and this last winter. And we wanted to make it fair enough so that as the tribal council would agree with it and that we were agreeable to it. We took both sides into account when we worked on this. Now, my problem is this, that if there's any changes that were done at the Land and Natural Committee, we were supposed to have a meeting with them in order to make sure that it was okay as a group with them first. And I know there was a special meeting planned for that. It got canceled due to burials and that kind of thing. So I think that I do anyway, would like to have a meeting, take this back to the Land and Natural Committee and go over the changes that they made in that meeting that we were not at. We would like to do that, or at least I would. And maybe everybody's in agreement with me on that here. Because we did work hard on it and we want to make it available so that it is presented to you guys in the form that it should, that we're all agreed together.
Sherry? Sherry, Emily, Toll.
I just wanted to state that that's kind of what today is for. This was on the council agenda last week for approval, but Councilman Frederick said that the Grazing Association wanted to partake in any changes that were made, so we scheduled today for that. And if everything is good and we're all in agreement, then we'll move forward to approve that today. However, if it's not, after that, we'll have to go back to the drawing board and rework some of the things that were mentioned. But as Councilman Frederick said, the stuff in the blue is the only things that were added. So I don't think we're gonna have a problem hearing any of you out today or working with you. I just wanted to, state that, this probably should be an ordinance. And, it should be an ordinance where certain things are in a policy that can be changed so that this doesn't have to happen all the time. And our ranches and farms, are protected by ordinance. That's just my opinion, because having a council meeting to go through and create and establish a resolution this lengthy is not, very good policy in my opinion. Thank you.
Madam Chair. Also, the reason that we are trying to get this on the floor and get something done hopefully today is because we are meeting the deadline, and that has been a warning ever since we started having those meetings, because we should have wrapped up those meetings in at least January, because we are under some tight scrutiny to try to get that 180-day notice out so that we can hopefully get permits issued to everybody by August 1. If we can't, and we don't meet that deadline, and we push this off into June, and it doesn't get done, then you're off into July, and then you're gonna end up with one-year permits, and then it's gonna start all over again. That's why we're trying to go along with getting this done. If you read the document in front of you, there's hardly any changes that Land and Natural didn't agree with. We literally almost passed it in its entirety, except for about 3 or 4 changes. And so 3 or 4 changes pretty much can be hashed out within this time frame and get a working document forward so we can get range units out to the permittees.
Emily Toth.
Thank you. I was actually just gonna say what Wayne said about the timing of it, and that's why we moved the meeting today to kind of like have a joint effort, I guess, with the hope that if there was need for further discussion or something like that, that would give us a little bit of flexibility where we'll have one more meeting on the 27th for council if we can't come to consensus today. So that was kind of our thought there, with the idea that by the end of the month, we would like to have something to BIA. If we aren't gonna have something for BIA by the end of the month, we would be looking at more of a one-year extension or something with the current conditions to allow this to happen. So that was kind of what we were dealing with as far as with the deadline out there. So I apologize if that seemed a little bit rushed on that end, but that was kind of the compromise, I guess, for that, was to have this be a joint meeting. If there is hopefully consensus, if there wasn't, then we could follow up, have something in between from now on the 27th. And what Wayne said is true. There was not a lot of changes at all made. Anything that I expressed this morning was very minimal, and it wouldn't really even matter as much for the overall what we're talking about. So I just wanted to say that those heavy discussions that were had in the public and that the consensus and stuff that came from the group, we are still moving those forward. There maybe was 2 or 3 of them, I can't remember off the top of my head, that we did not say we agree or disagree with the consensus, that we wanted to move out the council, because we knew those could potentially be big conversations, like the one that was mentioned earlier with salads, and there was another one I think with enrollment and that kind of stuff. And so those types of things, we did not even give our stance on that, because we knew that needed to come here for further discussion. So I just wanted to say it was never the intention of Land and Natural to try to rush it or to try to change anything without giving feedback. So I just wanted to state that. Thank you.
Coates and then Charlie.
I want everybody to be aware too, we have 3 minutes. The Sergeant at Arms keeps us in task with that. But, with what was just being said, there was nothing else changed at the last Land and Natural meeting, correct?
Not really, there's whatever's in blue.
There was a couple suggestions.
And then like this, the suggestions to clarify some of them. But otherwise, they gave me the original notes that I gave the secretary. Stay 10 years on page 1 and move on to current AUM rate.
And so we should really work together today to come up with a solution. Otherwise, everybody's we're not gonna meet the time frame, and it's gonna be a 1 year for everyone. So make sure when we go through the blue areas, make sure that everybody voices your opinion, how you feel on those areas. So we'll go through one section at one area. Is that how we're gonna do it?
Yeah,
Charlie?
I was just gonna ask if I can make a suggestion, if you can just go over the pink ones and then take comment. I think people are really confused.
Well, because council's also gonna comment on the pink ones, because
Yeah,
they're at not knowing.
yeah,
This is our first time seeing.
okay, so if we could have discussion on the pink part.
Okay.
So,
Madam Chair, this is something that has been in discussion for a long time. This is the first time some of the council's been seeing this. Something like this should have been out long time ago. So this body, who also has a final say in the decision, they've also been reviewing this too to give some kind of input. But, moving forward, we need to really have better communication within each other so we're all on the same page. Thank you.
okay, you wanna start?
Commented section 1. Pink explanation of the 10-year period, discussion on concerns going on about 5-year period. The discussions were the cost of improvements, assistance with FSA, USDA, fixing a dam. Some dams are about 100 years old. Do we have to go through the whole thing, or do we just go if there was a change or disagreement?
Let's see if there's just a change.
So the only thing that Land and Natural recommendation was stay 10 years and add the current cost, which is now 22.15 to that bottom part. And then that was the only change we recommended. The Grazing Association didn't make any changes. These are just kind of bullet points.
It's a note.
They agreed, yeah, it's like notes.
So on the page 1, that's your only change is those two.
Yeah, stay 10 years.
Yeah.
Because it's originally original document says 10 years and move to current AUMs. Is there anything that the association or members would like to say about that?
So this is your time to make your
Otherwise, we'll move on
comments
to
if
the
you
next
have a disagreement with those changes. And Lane, you said that the 2215 is set by the BIA, right?
AUM.
So that everyone has.
And that's for the lattes,
Lattes, yeah.
right?
Sherry?
Did you, Councilman, on C, in the comment section, it just says that there's a discussion on archaeological surveys through the Tribal Historical Preservation Office. If there's no action taken or no response from this office, bring your concerns to RST Land and Natural Committee or to your RST Council representative.
So THPO does surveys within the range unit for your fencing projects. And also if you want to berm your tanks up with the dirt that exists around the tank instead of bringing in outside dirt. So then you have to call in THPO to do all of that when there's ground disturbance.
Okay, so is this section here needing to be added to section 1?
It's current,
I don't see it in there.
it's in the land use policy,
Oh,
not just the
okay.
range unit.
So why is this added in?
It was discussion.
Emily, you have the answer to that, Emily?
I just wanted to add a comment. So whenever the committee discussed this question, I had the exact same question about what about that note and follow up and all of that. And what I was told is that it kind of led into a bigger conversation and discussion, and that one that actually just happened at Land and Natural recently as well, about if you're a non-member getting access of FSA and USDA versus a tribal member, and how you get the archaeological surveys. And so we requested, and I don't know, it probably hasn't happened yet because it just happened this last time, but to have an internal meeting on how we could get that better. Because right now what happens is if you're a non-member and you go to FSA, the FSA will get that archaeological clearance for you, and we were told it's less than 6 weeks time. When you're a tribal member, the burden is put on us or the tribal member or the tribe to use our tipple to get that, which then extends the amount of time that you have to, wait and get all that. But it's also becoming a problem because even when they wait and go through our tipple, the state is not accepting, or federal, whoever it is not accepting the clearance letters. They want access to our full report. And that's against our CRM code for protections of our natural resources. And so we're kind of at a standstill for that. But I think that's what some of that extra discussion kind of bled over into, and it still much needs to happen and still needs to have continued conversation and discussion about that so that that part doesn't continually to be a burden on either our end or, breaching every sovereignty or anything like that when we talk about the protections of our nature. So,
Okay, thank you. And then I guess just a formality request going forward. I see that there's like highlighted sections with the commenting. This can be really confusing and, so for future reference, I would suggest one of the things that we do at governmental affairs when we amend ordinances or resolutions is we'll leave the comment section, but anything old gets a strike through and anything new gets an underline. And that'd be really helpful for me going forward just to know like what is actually changing so we're not wasting a bunch of time on commenting or these comment sections. Thank you.
Page 2, a performance report or brand inspection will be required for a right of first renewal for the permittee, or BIA will do a mandatory spot check. This performance report will include a market receipt to approve with the livestock to show that the permittee is growing in the operation. A brand inspection and or market receipt will be required for the first year for the right of first renewal. Livestock will have a mandatory spot check, an annual compliance inspection for ownership during the permit period. Horses must have a brand or registration papers in permittee's name. Buffalo and sheep must have an ear tag for identification. So the comment from the public was discussions on brand inspection that are required. No laws saying we must have brands. The state brand inspector is not eligible on the reservation. Comments on the compliance officers. Shouldn't they be certified brand inspectors? And explanation by Sonny Farmer on brand inspections. Atlanta Natural took no action.
Kellen has a comment. He wants to give the floor, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. This brand inspection deal, it's kind of important to me. I just lost 10 cattle. And I have pictures of 2 shot horses and 1 smaller pony. Going in my 8 pictures of where the trailer was parked, where the trailer turned around. These guys up here on the hill tell me there's nothing in law and order code. We don't know how to handle that. And Leck County wouldn't even come out. The state brand inspector is the only one that responded and is working. We're never going to get them back, but it's just the fact that somebody stole these cattle. And I don't trust sales receipts. That's why I'm pushing the brand inspector. Because I can manipulate sales receipts from the sale barn any way I want to do it.
You have a comment to that?
Basically, we felt that brand inspection was the way to go, but it's up to the council. No action.
Tammy and Sherry.
I brought this up on TLE during a shareholders meeting, but, stealing cattle and it was all over and whatnot. I honestly think we're doing the brand inspector. I think TLE's, compliance officer should probably get certified in that and be able to recognize that and be able to make those reports going forward so that way there is criminal charges filed.
Sherry?
Thank you. I want to make a motion to have our attorney general firm start drafting a code or ordinance for branding inspection. And I would also, well, I'll make this one a second motion.
Second.
Motion by Sherry, second by Coates, question by Tammy. All in favor for the AG firm to develop a code for brand inspection? All in favor?
Mike? Just limited to brand inspections only?
So, Mike,
And I asked that because you
Discussion.
talked about ordinances for something, things that seems
Go
to
ahead,
be,
any
more
recommendation,
encompassing
Mike?
than just brand inspections.
raise your hand.
Can I make?
He did.
I still have the floor. I'd like to make one more motion. I'd also like to make a motion to direct the judiciary committee. I still have the floor. Mr. Sergeant at Arms. To direct the judiciary committee to start the process in amending the commission ordinance to include Brand Inspector Commission.
That's part of your motion?
That's that's the second motion.
Well, let's finish the first one.
We did, I thought.
We did.
Oh,
we did.
No, we didn't.
Everyone voted. No? Oh, okay.
You're right in the middle of, voting when Mike had a discussion.
I'll remove my.
So, again, all in favor of Sherry's first motion? Sherry, are you voting?
Yes.
11,
Opposed?
0,
Not voting?
1.
Motion carried. Now your second motion carried.
Okay. You need me to repeat it, Madam Secretary?
Yes, just that.
Motion to direct the Judiciary Committee to amend the commission ordinance to include brand inspector.
Any discussion? Not, Mike?
Yeah, we need an ordinance? That's what your motion says.
To have the committee. To have the committee start the process to amend the motion, to amend the ordinance.
Well,
The Judiciary Committee will amend the commission ordinance and bring it forth for council. That's all.
no. Okay, right.
Any other discussion? If not, I need a second.
I did it.
You, Mike?
Because she's making these motions, Mike,
Yeah, I
because
understand
technically
that.
in the ordinance, in our law and order code,
It's not
there is
ordinary
nothing that
law and
says,
order.
there's nothing that says brand inspection is a lawful
No, I
act.
understand that.
So that's why she's making these.
Any other discussion? If not, I need a second. Wayne, question. Emily, all in favor?
Well,
Opposed?
0,
Not voting?
0.
Motion carried.
Thank you, council, and just so everybody that's listening knows, that won't be an immediate thing. Whenever we create a new ordinance, there's to be a public hearing and 2 readings. And there was a question in the back here about who's going to certify the inspector. That'll be work for the Judiciary Committee to figure out. So just answered that question for you.
So number 2, page 2, stays. They want a brand inspection in order to get a range unit. Everyone that has incoming cows have to be inspected. Okay. Page 3 was allocation, right of first renewal, Indian preference, and bid grazing permit shall not be assigned or transferred without written consent of all contracting parties, including surety of the Land and Natural Resources Committee. The comment that was made was explanation on allocated right of first renewal, Indian preference, and bid grazing permits. Awarding is by any Land and Natural is by the Land and Natural Committee, and final approval is signed by the superintendent of the Rosebud Agency.
Mike?
We requested no change, so it stays as is.
Just for clarification's sake, allocation privileges are reserved for tribal members only, right?
Tribal members.
Only, yeah. And that includes adopted members, right? I mean, adopted family members. I'm
No,
assuming.
you have to be an enrolled Rosebud Sioux tribal member.
Right, okay, so.
But
that's-
no quantum, nothing, just leave
Right,
it
right, but the,
Rosebud tribal members.
it talks, there's a phrase in here that says to include legally adopted family members. Well, I guess if I was writing it, I would have said legally adopted tribal members. Just because, somebody's always looking for a loophole, But I understand it's under the general context of allocation, so it's assumed that they have to be tribal members, but sometimes you have to spell it out otherwise.
Says that meets all requirements.
Yeah.
Page 4. So Wayne, on the
Oh, he's on
third
page
page,
4 now?
Wayne, on the third page, there are no changes then.
No changes on page 3.
Okay. If there's no comment, we'll move on to the next page. Emily?
I just have a quick comment to what Mike is saying. On the bottom of E on page 3, where they're talking about that, it says the immediate family member relative meets all requirements for allocation, and that's where it would touch on the enrollment.
Right, yeah.
But he was quoting page 4, he was ahead of
Well,
us.
it's the same sentence, so I was just showing that that same sentence he was reading.
They want to read it that way.
Yes. Yes, I did.
So in the event of the death of the Rosebud Sioux tribal member who has been previously declared eligible for allocation, privileges or right to first renewal, the estate of the deceased member shall be eligible to continue in possession of the allocated grazing privileges for the remainder of the permit period. So, right here, the comment that was made by the public was, states it is strongly encouraged that each permittee must have a beneficiary, or permittee to have a beneficiary. The committee felt to change that and say that move from shall to must complete a beneficiary form. So that way there's not somebody not signed up and then all of a sudden they pass away and then they come here and then the board has to hear multiple family members on who they give the permit to. If it was in black and white and they were made to write a beneficiary down, then it goes to that beneficiary.
Yes, because shall leaves it open, must, it's mandated,
Mandated.
and that's where the change must occur.
Yeah. So we asked for it to be must instead of shall.
Shall.
And that would be an enrolled tribal member also.
Yeah. Then the next one would be
Number 2 says that. Should.
2, right?
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Mike?
Go ahead.
Mike.
Oh,
sorry.
Mike, did you have?
Yeah, again, concerning the comment I had about comment I made earlier in the above paragraph under estates, again, it's related to allocation privileges. And when it talks about the estate of the deceased member, now I know from serving on TLE that family members of a deceased member can be non-Indian or not enrolled. So again, I think it's important here to specify that they continue to be in possession of the allocated grazing permission, privileges, providing they're enrolled.
Number 2 gets that, if you have that question.
Meet all requirements.
Okay, I got you. Thank you.
Emily, did you have something?
I would just wanted to clarify for him that number 2 does state that same requirement that the permittee shall designated beneficiary as an enrolled member of the Rosebud Sioux tribe. If the person is not a member of the Rosebud Sioux tribe or eligible for enrollment, the grazing permit contract will be canceled. So I just want to say that does say that.
Okay. Continuing.
G, grazing privileges will not be granted to anyone if they are delinquent on money owed to the tribe, tribal land enterprise, or BIA, including tribal taxes, unless applicants for grazing privileges make arrangements with the Rosebud Sioux tribe to satisfy, discharge, and retire the outstanding debt, obligation, or delinquency with documents to retire the debt within 180 days following the applicant obtaining grazing privileges. If payments are not made on a constant basis, the range unit will be subject to cancellation. We were asking for, the committee asked for SWA to be included in that list of possible debtors, right?
They're already included in there.
They are included.
Yeah, you said they already include them, but that they make arrangements for like a payment plan, and as long as you're signed up in a payment plan, that will.
And then they just have to report it to BIA, or in the revenue office, sorry. Okay, so that's just the only
Says
coordination of who reports the debt. Their comment pretty much clarifies how the process is. Any appeals will go through the Land and Natural Committee, then on to RST Tribal Council discussion on sex offender registry. This wording shall be added to the resolution. Grazing privileges will not be granted to anyone who is a sex offender registry. Any proposed sublease shall not be listed on the sex offender registry. Okay. Now, I don't think that's where we add it though, is it?
My recollection.
Hey, let me use your hand.
Sure.
Thank you. That's just a comment, right?
Yeah, because it doesn't go under estates. It shouldn't go under estates.
Then the next comment under that says that we do not agree with that except for the debt load.
Emily?
Whenever she's done, I just wanted to add that there was a discussion about that last comment there, but it's a little bit later, so I figure we might as well talk about it a little bit later when it comes up.
That's true.
Yeah, it doesn't go in this section. So that's a comment for later on. Let's make an arrow by it. Okay. From H, a pasturing authorization shall be required and reviewed by the Land and Natural Resources Committee. The comment, the PA is a form you fill out with Sunny Farmer at BIA if you are taking in cattle that are not your own. The ownership requirement is 25%. The pasturing authorization lists non-permittees cattle for the number of head and the amount of time they'll be going to the range unit. Both the permittee and cattle owner have to sign it. The completed pasture authorization is brought to Land and Natural for approval. The pasturing authorization is signed off by the superintendent. That's how the operation is still going. We didn't disagree with it.
Aye.
Next comment on the same issue is on page 5. All permittees and any person contracting with the permittee to pasture livestock will be deemed in doing business with the Rosebud Reservation shall be subject to a regulatory adjudicatory jurisdiction of the Rosebud Sioux tribe. Failure to obtain a PA will constitute a violation of the contract and subsequent loss of grazing privileges. Pasturing authorizations will not be issued to either party is delinquent in payment of billings issued by the Rosebud Sioux tribe, Tribal Land Enterprise, BIASWA. Clarified, it says, oh no, that just clarifies it, I guess. We didn't make any changes to that. The one that is added in here is about the next section. Okay. Yeah, of I. A rangeland improvement fee will be assessed upon the owner and operator in possession of the livestock pastured under pasture authorization contracts in the amount of $3 per head per year for the livestock. Land and Natural Resources Committee said it's never been really developed, so waive the foreign cattle fee on immediate family members. So that would be like your children, your wives, husbands.
So if you're,
Like, Sherry?
so if you're pasturing for one of your family members, then that gets waived.
Then you wouldn't be charged with $3 per head,
Oh,
and it'd be just considered a family operation.
we charged it before.
Because it's just whoever's name is on the permit. That's the only one that doesn't get charged. The committee agreed on the foreign cattle tax. Okay, the public was asking for a $2 per head change from 3 and a $1 be set up for youth scholarships and a $1 for disasters. They agreed to a point system for improvements and considered day labor as incentives. A rangeland improvement fee will be assessed in the amount of $3 per head per year for any livestock taken by the permittee. Any livestock pastured without approved pasture authorization shall be assessed a penalty of $15 per head per month, in addition to any damages proven, attorney fees, costs associated with the collection of said property and damages. The fee is to assist with range improvements. Anyone who possesses a range unit will be required to handle all business in person as they are the permittee on record. Cattle and horses have to have brands, and horses have to have their papers. Or the horses have to have their papers.
Councilman Frederick, I have a question on the, authorization, the pasture authorization fees on all tribal and TLE land shall be utilized for range improvements. I do know some years back that we released those funds and it was chaotic. So since then, has anything been approved or any policies come up to, identify what those range improvements are and how we're gonna do that?
So the committee didn't take a stance on it, but honestly, because of what I've run into it in the past 9 years, I would just say that waive the foreign cattle tax because it was set up for and to develop for any permittee holder, the money going in, which ranges anywhere from $15,000 a year up to $30,000 a year. And mostly from when I asked Keith, he said it's right around that $20,000. He said 19, whatever. And so that money sat there, yeah. And that money just sat there basically until a disaster happened. And then they just say, here you go, we'll refund it back to the operators.
So there's no actual relief program for.
But what it was supposed to be set up for was a relief program so that every operator, like every year, could apply for $5,000 in assistance, draw out of a hat, however many $5,000 out of 20 or whatever, that'd be four people get chosen every year. The tribes never developed a program for it. They never developed how it'd be distributed. So then it just sat there. And so my opinion is, it's just a headache having it sit there and then you collect it from the operators. It's pretty much worthless. I just say do away with it. Unless you're gonna.
Or waive it until something's developed.
Or leave it until something's developed.
Yeah, waive it.
Which is already.
Have Emily and then Mary.
Thank you. Sorry, Sharon. I just wanted to add a comment because there was discussion about this. And from what I gathered is the operators would feel a lot better about paying into this type of tax if they knew everything up front, if they knew what the parameters were for, if they knew if it was fair, and if they knew how to access it before we got to a fire or the disaster or whatever we're talking about. So then from that, it sounds like we have a policy where it said half is going to go to youth scholarship. For every $2 paid in, $1 goes to scholarship, $1 goes to a disaster fund. They were okay with that because it was lower than what they were previously paid, and it was set a fair amount that it was going to go back to our nation or for youth or for disasters, which is what it was designed. What needed to happen then, if that's what we're going to do, is change that from 3 to 2 and half it. Then you need to develop a policy about how you pay it in and how you access it. I thought it was pretty simple and made sense. I'm only bringing it up also is because I know Mr. Bolt has said this several times at our council meetings about we need to manage our land better. But a part of that is also revenue generation. And we have all of this land that a lot of people know how to make money off of and not very good as a tribal nation. And so I don't want to speak for him, but had said at several meetings, if we did it right, we could look at our taxation and make sure that we're giving back. And that's how other people operate. And so if we really did look at this tax and whether we leave it 3 or 2 or however we're going to do it and did it right and fair and had everything set up, that's how a sovereign nation operates, is to have those kinds of things. And so I just wanted to say, taxing people for the purpose of taxing people is awful. But if you have it for the purpose of sovereignty and sustainability, I think it could be great. And I think people would be okay with it if they knew that from the beginning and it wasn't like pay in, and then oops, because like you said, what happened before when they paid it back out, it was a mess. People did not get what they paid in. Some people got more. And other people kind of had a bad taste that some people got access to those funds when they didn't even pay in it from the beginning. So those are the types of things that I think is very doable to talk through, but I just don't know if we're right there right now. Thank you.
Okay, Mary and then Sherry.
Thank you, Chairman. Administration, yes. Mary Scott with the NRCS, and I guess I'd just like to elaborate a little bit more off of Wayne's comment of doing away with the foreign cattle fee. Taking that one step further, I look around this room and a lot of the producers are already taking advantage of the USDA programs and they're already improving these lands. So as far as, putting those efforts back into the land, it's already being done.
those documents are provided to the tribe, to the BIA. Those records are kept there, so any of that stuff is already being done. The history is that it was hard to distribute those monies out because there wasn't a system in place. The discussions have been that it's tough to try to figure something out. You know, I think the land office was put in charge to do something with it. They came up with some alternatives, but again, nothing is in place. So I just wanted to make that comment that, you know, there are range improvements being made out there, quite a few range improvements. I believe in 2025, there was $1 million through the EQIP program that was allocated. And that didn't account for the fire money that was done also through EQIP. So there's a substantial amount of money that is being put back into the land. Thank you.
Okay, I have Sherry and then Joe.
I guess I'd just like to have the council consider possibly having maybe governmental affairs work on a program for this. I think it would be really important. And thank you, Mary. I do understand you guys have that, but I do know like NRCS and all that's hard for some people to access. And the applications and all of that is very stringent. And if there was some sort of a policy put in place for this, I think it'd be really important. And I support waiving it until there's an actual policy in place. But with that, I think we should send it to a committee and have that committee work with, was it the land office that was charged with doing this? To bring that forward. And I don't know if that belongs at Land and Natural Committee or if that's something you guys would like to see governmental affairs start working on, because it will have to go through that committee anyways. Hello, everybody. What do you think, Councilman?
Waive until there's a policy developed and put it under GA.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to send the development of the policy for capturing authorization fees to the governmental affairs committee.
Any discussion on her motion, Emily?
Shall I add discussion to leave it at $3, or is a discussion to go with the discussion that happened where you would lower it to $2 and 1 and 1?
I guess I would like to waive it, and I'll put that in my motion to waive the pasturing authorization fee until a policy is developed.
I understand waiving it, but what are you waiving? Are you waiving it as a $3 fee, or are you waiving it as the proposed change of going down to 2 and then doing? Because we're gonna get locked in for this next 10 years, whatever. And so like, I assume by waiving, you're still gonna have it in there.
What did the committee suggest?
The committee suggested going with the split where you have some, but I don't, it doesn't say that in the notes, so I don't know.
With the 2?
That we didn't disagree with the bullet. So it'd be $2 and then $1.
Okay, I'll agree with that.
Oh, no, $2 and $1
Maybe
and
$2,
$1.
then it would be split.
Yeah.
We're still in
$2
discussion, so we have Joe and we have Sammy.
Okay, I guess I don't, and not to sound mean, I don't want the split to go, those fees to go to the suggestion. I'd like those fees to go back to, land and range improvement. So that's what my intent was behind my motion that I made, just to be clear for when the vote comes up.
Joe?
Thank you, Madam. Okay. You know, I disagree with that tax completely. In the Constitution, it says that tribal members are not be unduly taxed, and we're being taxed to death as business people and keeping off the welfare rolls here. You know, how are we supposed to? We pay $500 per range unit for fees. Then we pay tax to the tribe. And then you're adding more and more tax on every time we turn around. And how are we supposed to exist? That's, you know, it's crazy. But I just want to see it totally eliminated. And if we want to donate money for children and elderly, we'll do it. But I want to see it totally eliminated.
Thank you for your comment.
Sammy?
So if we're gonna waive it now, my question is if we're gonna start a contract, continue a contract, how are we, I mean, how is this gonna play in to our 10-year contract? Because we're gonna sign off, and are we just gonna be able to keep this in whenever you guys get it? I mean, that's my concern, you know?
Start for 10 years, right?
Yeah, what age you have?
No, sure.
Emily?
It's up this year, so it'd start next year. So that's what I was asking, like, I understand waiving it until we have a plan, but no matter what, we're gonna get locked into this grazing resolution. So either you're removing it, like one was suggesting, and then we don't have anything to do for 10 years, or we're gonna leave like a placeholder in there, it sounds like, then we can waive it, but that placeholder will still be in there. And so I think that's what Sammy's asking is, what's that placeholder gonna be? So even if it's waived right now, year 5 or year 2 or whatever, whenever we get it developed, it's gonna get implemented probably at some point. And so I think that's what we need to be upfront about is, are we leaving it in there? And if we are, is it at the $3 or the $2 rate? Even if we're gonna waive it, I think no matter what, we need to decide how we're gonna approve it. Either it's removed altogether, we're leaving it as 3, we're moving it to 2, and then we could talk about waiving it or whatever down the road. But I think that's what we need to discuss right now, because I'm not even sure about what we're gonna.
Yeah, because what you're trying to accomplish today is to finalize this resolution. And if you want to finalize it, and if you waive it, it's not finalizing it because you're either going to keep it or you're going to remove it. Right?
Yep.
Sherry?
Okay, I guess, I made that motion with the understanding that this, whatever we decide today will be in place for 10 years. So this council will have 10 years to develop that policy.
Okay, so then it'll
So
be removed,
that's-
right?
So it would, yes, and then, once that's redeveloped and this grazing resolution comes back to the floor, at that time, there'll be a policy if the council wants to even consider it. That was my intent of my motion, just to clarify. Yes.
Monica?
Yeah, thank you. And that's good. These foreign tax,
Nope.
these, foreign tax fees, it's supposed to help individual operators to move up. You know, it ends up costing us far more than that. All these range unit people or lease people in developing the land and the fencing and it takes a lot. And you're not gonna see that many coming up and out. It's really sad because, it is for our youth too. We work because a lot of us are generated ranchers. So the youth that we have are going to eventually ranch. It's expensive. And I probably wouldn't be in it, but it's because my grandfather was, my grandmothers, my dad, my mom. So it comes natural sometimes to us as we go. So that foreign tax ain't never going to help anybody. You know, even in a disaster, it won't. It's just a little bit. So thank you.
Yes.
Phyllis?
You know, I'm all for the policies and everything to share. I think this does need to just be eliminated. Because if you look around, majority of them have jobs also, so just so that they can make it ranching. And it's the only way that some of them can do it. And with the cost of everything going up, they struggle, just like everybody else does. But she hit it right on the head, generational. That's why people are here, because they don't want to shut things down, because it's been so long. But I would like to also see it not go through at all, just for the sake of the ranchers and because things are going to also go up too, eventually, you know, with the land, with the leasing and everything. So to have this on top of it, it's not fair.
So, should I just pull back my, motion and do we just go along with the elimination? And then
Yeah, that's if they're wanting.
in 10 years, whoever the council is then can decide if they want to work on that or not?
Emily?
I just had a question. So if we are gonna move forward with the removal of that part, I'm just curious, do we need to send this back to legal or somebody to help redefine that? Because I don't know, at first it sounded like we would just remove I, but after reading through I, there's some other things that are talking about assessed penalties of pasturing authorization. And so I'm wondering, are there other fees involved with a pasturing authorization other than the rangeland improvement fee? Because if not, then it sounds like we may be able just to remove that whole section. But if there are other fees associated with it, or if there are other things associated with the pasturing authorization as a whole, then we might just need to strike certain sentences that are referring to that additional improvement fee and leave the other ones that are talking about, if you're in possession of any livestock without a PA, you'd be assessed a penalty of $15 per head. Like that would still be applicable, right? Because we're still needing a PA. It's just the additional tax. So my question is, we can't just remove that whole thing because there's parts of it that are still pertinent to the PA. So who will be doing that editing? And then will we be doing that today, talking through that today right now, which might be easier? Or are we going to have something brought back to us for our next meeting on the 27th?
We need to do it today because we want to finalize this.
Okay, so
I think it's just removal of that sentence.
That's what I'm asking. Are we only
Yeah.
removing that first sentence where it talks about a rangeland improvement fee?
Yes.
So then it would start with the contracting parties.
I think it would be just the following approval of the pasture authorization by the superintendent, the contracting parties include. That's all you have to have.
So wouldn't you remove that whole first sentence?
You take out the whole first sentence, but just have the sentence start with following approval of the pasture authorization by the superintendent.
The contracting parties.
So you're still having a PA in place, but you're not charging anybody for a fork.
So if we just put 0 in there?
Hey, you gotta raise your hand.
Because the foreign cattle tax was not on our operators, right? It was on the people bringing in the foreign cattle, but the operator had to pay it.
It was on it.
So I just assumed that was.
You're striking that first sentence of a rangeland improvement fee will be assessed upon the owner, the operator in possession of the livestock pastured under the PA contracts in the amount of $3 per head per year for any livestock taken in by the permittee. That's it.
And that's it.
Yeah.
So you're going to start your paragraph when?
It would be following approval.
Okay.
Following approval of a PA by the superintendent, the contracting parties.
You're starting where it says following?
Following would be the start of a sentence.
The third line.
Yeah, third one.
Third line right at the beginning there. Tammy?
So then in the next paragraph, where it says
revenue
the revenue
generated.
generated, you strike that also.
Yep. Then you strike the revenue generated from the PA fees on all tribal and TLE lands shall be utilized for range improvements. And the allottees have the option to contribute their share of the range improvement program.
So you strike all of that.
And then all the way down to,
Do you guys have to rescind resolution 2005?
Mike?
Just a comment that, about, fees and sorts of involving money, some of these fees go back many years, and, there's no, account for, inflation. What $3 per head per cow, its value at the time that foreign cattle tax in this instance was put in place, it's not the same $3 today. I know that's not a popular thing to say. But when the fees are assessed to benefit not only the operator, but the tribe in general. Because remember, we represent the owners of this land. The ranchers are not the sole owners of this property. We are the rental managers. I don't like to say that, but that's, we don't run this place as a business. We never have. I've been down here for better than 50 years. Sometimes this is nothing more than a political patronage exercise. And I know nobody wants to hear that, but I gotta say it just for the benefit of the people out there that are going to be asking me about this when I get home. They're gonna say, well, what about us? We need that revenue to pay our light bills, to buy our fuel. And I know that's, the operators don't have to hear that, but I do. And to me, it's a moral issue. I needed to say that. Thank you.
Tammy, Sherry, Mary.
Real quickly, so are we gonna be striking the middle paragraph that
Yes.
we generated?
Yes.
Strike that whole paragraph?
Yes, because we will have to resend resolution 2005-40 eventually, because that's what set the foreign cattle tax.
Thank you. Just to clarify, we are not removing, Councilman Bolt, just to clarify, we're not removing the foreign cattle tax. We're only waiving
No,
it.
I was talking about the amount, the dollar amount.
And,
She's addressing me, so I get the floor when she addresses me.
and then,
I guess I do.
what we're waiving is the
Right to answer.
pass-through authorization fee. I just want to make that clear because there's a lot of back and forth. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. Still keeping the foreign cattle tax, but immediate family members are exempt and waiving the pass-through authorization fee.
Mary.
Thank you, Sarah.
In response to Representative Boltz's comments, I would like to go back to the first page under item B. And keep in mind that tribal rate, if there is allotted land in that tract, whether it be 1%, 0.5%, whatever it is, that whole tract gets charged that allotted rate. So, in talking with Joe's comment about the fees that we have to pay and things, that just adds more costs too, but that goes back to the owners. So just wanted to make that clarification. I know it's a little bit confusing,
And
but
I understand that. But I understand that. I'm talking about, the rates that the AUMs that are put into place from time to time reflect the economic times, right? Some of these fees, that's my point, some of these fees, and they fluctuate, these rental rates. But the fees are set in place, in this case, many years ago, and they don't change at all relative to inflation. That's my point. Right?
And then plus on what Mary was trying to say is that, yes, we are, you would be, if we motion today to
What's the
waive
purpose of
that
money?
fee,
It's to buy
that is the
things.
foreign cattle tax. It is the foreign cattle tax.
is?
Yes.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Mike, the people have never seen that foreign cattle tax. They've never seen it. It sat in its own line item in the general account and it just sat there. And then it could be 5 years down the road, like the Longhorn
How
fire.
much was it,
And
Lane?
let me
He's
tell you.
answering.
It
Ben?
sat there until 2000, or until like 5 years, and then it sat there until a disaster happened, which was a fire. And since the tribe never really assists any agricultural people when a disaster happens, they just basically thought, well, hell, this pot's been sitting here. Let's just refund it back to the people who need it, who are affected. And so technically, let's just say how it got to be kind of seen as unfair was that fire was out west. So you think that money would go to the out west range unit holders who got burned. But instead, we all got it back, and it's all range unit holders could have been out on the east side, clear to Gregory. So then, therefore, it just wasn't really fair because there's nothing was ever developed. So once again, we're going ahead, we're 14 years ahead, and there still has never been anything set up on actually how to use that foreign cattle tax. So what we were talking about was, it's not being used, there's no policy put in place yet. Either let's waive it, or follow the public's opinion and says create $2 instead of $3, but split it up with $1 going to scholarships and $1 going to disasters.
Monica. And then Mike.
I think with that foreign, well, we call it foreign tax, It's cost for authorization tax. It was set up, like he said, for disasters or fencing or improving your ranch.
$2.
Well, that's not, never gonna be enough money is what I'm saying. So most of the time, what happened was it just sat there. It don't really, it doesn't get to be too much of an amount. But that amount goes for either drought or whatever, and you only get back what you paid in, you see?
Right.
So that's what it was mainly for. It's not to pay light bills or any of that.
Right.
Just a clarification, foreign tax is the same as tax for authorization.
Sherry and then Mike.
I guess I just want to say that I think that this has been going on for years. There should be some accountability for that never being put in place. And I just want to state that, you know, whatever program was charged with this, doing this, should be held accountable for that because although it wasn't that huge amount of revenue, to me, it's simple. What they explained makes sense and there should have been some sort of a system set up for that. And thank you for clarifying. I was assuming that there was two separate taxes. I didn't know they were the same.
But there's other taxes.
Yeah, grazing, hayland tax, all of that.
Mike, did you have anything else to throw
Yeah,
in
does
there?
anybody recall, does anybody know when a foreign cattle tax was implemented, put into place?
2005.
I think it was done a lot longer than that. It was done back in the 70s and the 60s. Because, and the reason it was imposed, because, and there were a lot fewer ranchers back then, tribal members and ranchers. There were a lot fewer of them. And they were making a lot of money bringing in pasturing outside cattle. And the the council just decided they wanted a piece of that. So they implemented the foreign cattle tax, period. And it was to go with the understanding that it would go into tribal coffers. And then at some point down the road, it got changed so that it would be used only for improvements and whatnot on the land. That's really the history of it. You know, so the foreign cattle tax was originally implemented to cash in on the amount of money that some people were making out of pasturing cattle from the outside. I'm talking about almost 50 years ago. Anybody want to challenge that? Do the research.
Tuffy.
Thank you, Madam Chair, to the full council. Both is, I think we should keep the subject relevant and pertinent. There was a plan for this foreign cattle tax. It just never ever got implemented. The money just sat there. But the biggest problem with it was, Jerry's right, the accountability aspect of it. Nobody knew how much was in it when it got to the point where there was a crisis, and they decided, well, it wouldn't be fair to give, you know, so much back to certain part of the people who paid into it, and the rest of them didn't get anything. So we're going to give it refund what everybody paid in, and the revenue department could not come up with a number, and the revenue department could not produce receipts. The revenue department could not account for any of it. So Solo and the treasurer's office ended up doing the accounting, and revenue just sat there doing nothing. And then they never ever did come back with the final report to Land and Natural regarding, the final amount. That's the issue. That's what we should be talking about. We've already tried having some type of program. It didn't work. There was no accountability. It was complete chaos. So why do it again? Just get rid of the program.
I can't motion to waive it, so it's up to council to take action.
Are you gonna make the motion to waive it, Charles?
Yeah.
Charles motions to waive it. I have a question.
Can we just say remove it? Because every time we say waive it, like that means you have it in there and then you're waiving it. Like,
Yeah.
And what we're actually saying is removing it so that it's not even going to be in there for this 10-year, right? That's what we're all saying. Okay. If we could just say that, thank you.
You wanna,
Remove it.
your motion is to remove it?
just scratch it out?
Yeah. Remove what?
And then, sorry, I forgot.
Remove the foreign tax. Emily?
I just forgot, do we need to clarify in your, motion that we are rescinding 2005-40?
That'll have to be a separate one.
That would be a separate one? Okay, thank you.
I'll second.
Ben's passing that out too.
Thank you.
Tammy? And then Sherry?
You made gonna make a motion to remove it. So my question then, on top, and I'm okay with your motion. So the money that's in there now then? What will we do with that money that's in there now that we've paid in?
Yeah, it would have to be refunded to the operators that paid in. Because not everybody has. Sonny brought in a list and there's probably like, I think it was 30 some on there that were currently pasturing other than their own. So those should have been the only ones that were billed
For this year?
for this year.
Okay. So that's how you'll distribute it to the ones that paid in?
Yeah. Only amount they paid.
On the amount that they paid in?
Yeah.
That's for just this year because this is the first year that it's being waived, right?
Yeah. Removed.
I had a.
Sherry and then Sammy.
Okay, I know that Charles wanted to make a motion and I'm not sure if it got a second or not, but I just wanted to know if there's a standing resolution that puts this pasturing authorization in place. Because rather than making a motion to remove it, wouldn't we just strike it here and then approve this as is with it stricken? And if there's a resolution approving the initial pasturing authorization, that we rescind that? I mean, just for a proper procedure?
His motion to remove removes it from the document. Then rescinding this, make sure that it's not there to add to any other document. You'd have to devise a whole other resolution.
No, but what I'm saying is, while we're making changes on this is a draft copy, right? So then everything we strike and add, once we do the final approval as is, it's done.
So when you're
So what
all,
I'm saying is his motion, he doesn't need to make his motion, we just need to strike that and move forward. Right? Or are you just wanting him to do that for the record, so we're in
For the
agreement
record.
going forward?
So the secretary has an actual finished document to pass.
because when you're all done, you're going to rescind and amend this 2016.
Yes.
Because you're going off the 2016 248.
Yeah.
So any changes you make today, you're going to rescind and amend 2016 248. So as a matter of record, you put in there that you're going to remove that section on that page as we go along.
Yeah, 'cause
That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is normally when we, reconsider and amend a resolution, we just read in the changes to
Yeah.
that resolution. So right now, we're just going through it, where we haven't really officially brought it to the floor, correct? So I just want to make sure that we're doing it right. Sorry to get technical.
Well, no, but you're making me think, I have another question.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my other question is, because as I read this 0540, then it's talking about 01137, and so I'm just like, is it just gonna be a layer of this resolution's amending the previous resolution, amending the previous resolution? Because if that's the case, shouldn't we just, never mind. I'm just confused because it's stating, it's citing this resolution 01137, and I don't know what that is in reference to. And the reason why I'm asking, kind of what Sherry's saying is, what's our proper order? If we're just gonna be going forward, are we doing a whole new resolution, or are we amending this resolution with changing? Because in a perfect world, it would be an ordinance, right? And then we would just be amending but we're not there, so I'm just wondering, in all of these different layers, do we need to also bring in 01137? Or in the language of the new amendments, just cross mention that these are no longer valid, or I don't know how to.
Rose, you wanted this brought in?
So see, it also quotes number 01137. So this is amended version.
Yeah, but it's not very, you need 01-137 to even know what we're amending. Can you see that?
But Wayne,
It's real weird. The fourth whereas says, in resolution 01-137, the Rosebud Sioux Tribe gave allottees the option of contributing their share to the range improvement program. So like it almost says that a lottee should have been paying in too?
yeah, I'm confused. We weren't here then, so I don't know what the thinking was behind that. Sammy, did you still want to?
Yeah.
Because I have you next.
I know you guys are trying to figure this
I
out
understand.
on the proper way to do it, and I appreciate that. But kind of back to my point of that money that's been sitting in there all these years. Like, it would be nice to know, and you guys are saying you'll pay out this previous year, but what about the years before that we paid in? Because I know that we haven't touched it probably since the fire.
Council would have to decide that.
Because this is moving forward, it's not moving backward.
When was the last time it was paid out and how much money is sitting there right now?
2021 is the last time it was paid
And then
out.
how much is sitting there right now? And the reason I'm asking is because from what I heard is last time that the council asked for a payout to be distributed, it didn't go very well because the operators had different receipts basically than the department did. And so some people did not get the amount that they actually paid in. And so in order to prevent all that, I'm just wondering, can we ask for that report? Can we ask for, so that when we're making a decision, we know what we're actually making a decision on?
So Wayne, in your discussion in Land Natural and in TLE, is this the payout, when this is removed, the payout, is it gonna go from 2021 to 2026? That seems to be the question here.
If I still have the floor, can I make a motion requesting that information from Revenue Department to have a report back to council from the last payout to date and broken down by, I don't even know the names, but I would like to see that they know, what operator paid in what amount. And then that way we could bring it back and make a decision on how that gets distributed or dealt with.
Okay, Emily, you wanna hold on to your motion and let's finish this, so the motion's to make any changes after this is amended or approved? Then you can make those motions at
I
that
just don't
point in
want to
time.
lose sight of all the details that we're all talking about right now, which is why I wanted.
Does she need a motion, or could you just have the revenue department?
They're there. Is she there?
You might not need a
Thank
motion.
you.
I didn't forget you, you're next.
Yeah.
Can I not follow the rules for a little bit here, because we're all gonna be discussing at the same time, so let's waive the rules.
Motion to suspend the
Motion to
rules.
suspend the rules.
Second.
Question? Thoughts? All in favor? You're getting rid of the 1 minute, or the 1 minute, right?
All rules or just the 3-minute rule?
3 minutes.
We specified that we're all in a
3-minute.
It's just for this meeting.
And all that.
They can make a
They
motion,
did that once before.
they can make a motion to suspend it for this meeting. They can make a motion to stop it.
Okay, and then my other one is,
You have to vote on it first.
I thought we just did.
All in favor?
Just the timing?
For the timing.
Back and forth with all rules. Still raise our hands until the audience can get the floor without Wade having to get them the floor. So we can go through this and kind of just agree, okay, we're ready to move forward, and then bring the resolution on at the end when we're done.
So we're basically in a discussion.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Eight,
Opposed?
0. 1,
Not voting.
2,
Should be 3. Next.
No, so.
So,
I still.
So it's, so that's three.
Now you got it, man. Okay, Tammy, you're next.
Okay, just a quick question. What we're doing now is moving forward. So whatever was paid in before this is amended stays where it should stay and council should address that at a later date. That's just my opinion.
yes.
Yeah.
So we're just striking that paragraph, removing the foreign cattle tax. We're all in agreement.
Yes.
Okay.
Are there any pertinent resolutions that?
If there are any pertinent resolutions, they can bring it back and we'll resend those. There was no changes on page 5 or page 6. Page 7, additional conditions. No changes by the public, no changes by the committee. Now, where do we want to?
You have 8?
Where the proposed change for where we needed a yes or no from council was the sex offender one. Isn't that underneath additional conditions? Isn't that where it should have been? Because it's on this one, has it on page 2, and then on this one, it's not in here. Page 7.
Page 8?
Page 7, additional conditions.
There's no changes.
Page 10, Wayne? I think he's just asking where he would put the offender.
I thought you guys.
Oh, yeah, okay. That's on page 7.
No, page 10. I think.
Page 7, no changes. Go to page 8. 8 may be cut on tribal and TLE lands in accordance with the regulations at the approved rate of $2 per acre. The public and the committee agree to 6.
I have a question or comment. It's, what is it, that top one there? Where we're potentially changing it from 2 to 6. If we do change it from 2 to 6, there's also a potential change for that last where it says any violation would be charged the rate of $5 per acre. If we did that, then that would be an additional $5 per acre. Because otherwise the price would be cheaper.
Yeah.
So
it'd be
to go
11.
steal it.
If you illegally cut, it'd be $11 an acre.
If you illegally, it'd only be 5, so.
Yeah.
How about also would be charged, what Emily said, an additional $5?
Yes.
Yes.
So no matter what, we increase that $6 to, or whatever the penalty, the fine would be $5 on top of that. Thank you.
So how would that read? All hay cut without prior authorization will be charged an additional $5 per acre.
Right where it says $2 an acre, put 6.
Yep.
Then, any hay cut without prior authorization is still 5.
Yeah.
Okay? All right. Go to Q. Prairie dog control will be implemented and carried out in accordance with BIA, Tribal and Enterprise, Natural Resources, EPA, and/or any authorized tribal program. It says add state and tribal to the poison prairie dogs list. And so right where it say and/or, you'd put state and tribal.
So it does say any tribal program, so wouldn't it just be adding any state or tribal?
Mixed program, right? State or tribal program. Because like right now, it's illegal to poison prairie dogs, but that program has been newly apply through NRCS or FSA? Where you can actually apply to poison prairie dogs again. Extension office. So you can apply to have prairie dogs poisoned again. And it hadn't been in operation for years. And so now we're able to, if we change that, then we can open up poisoning of prairie dogs again. As long as it's with state and tribal.
Just to make a note, too, there's a typo, it says BJA instead of BIA.
Really?
And then
Oh, yeah,
EPA,
BJ.
Yeah, it's BBI instead of BJ.
is EPA environmental protection, is that the tribes or the
Yeah.
national one?
Same.
So should I say, well, then it says RSC tribal.
So the RST travel program at one time, solo, or was it THPO did poisoning? TLE did, oh yeah. So TLE did poisoning.
So tribal program or chartered entity?
Yeah.
Or tribal entity?
I think that was the intention, was to expand that, instead of just tribal programs, to be any tribal entity,
Yeah.
in addition to the federal, state. And so that's why, like, even the federal stuff, it might be better to say federal, because that would include the EPO, EPA, all of that, not just one or the other.
Okay.
State, tribal, or federal program?
Tribal entity. So we're adding that in there?
You're adding it after and/or, Wayne?
And or any authorized tribal entity. And what did you say?
State.
State, tribal, federal program or chartered entity.
Comma, period.
Clear as mud? All right.
There's the road to Little Mercury.
Page 10. We got all sorts of colors on this. All ranging at permittees, tribal or tribal members will be required to have a non-insured crop disaster assistance program NAP through the Farm Service Agency for the permit period, or the range unit will be subject to cancellation. Recommend to program availability, but mandatory if available to be applied for. Was Land and Natural's recommendation to that line of V.
That was because they weren't sure if that program, that NAP program, was going to even be in existence with the current conditions of the federal administration. And so if it is, then we'd like it to maintain the mandated. But if it's no longer going to be, then we want it to be recommended that you get insurance, but that we cannot mandate without that program. So that was the intention of the.
So you're removing mandatory.
Well, it needs to kind of be either or, right?
Recommend to the program availability, but mandatory if available to be applied for.
Okay, so where are we putting that?
So as long as it's, so even if we just put, as long as it's available, because the intention is if that program's available, then leave it as is, it's mandatory. But if for some reason the feds are no longer funding that program or it's not existent, then it would just be a recommendation that you have insurance, but we couldn't mandate it at that point.
Correct.
So it's gonna, after cancellation period, as long as the NAP is available. And then what else did you say?
That's it.
And then if it's not, then it's just a recommendation. You know what I mean? But I don't know how to say that. Yeah, it's just, I got a thumbs up somewhere along there.
It's not available, section B will be a recommendation for alternative insurance?
Yes.
Now, on W, this is where we were asking for Eric's clarification, but must not have got there. Grazing privileges will not be granted to anyone if they violate provisions of this resolution, tribal or federal codes, and or individual tribal members' civil rights. Because if it's civil, non-members do and can be prosecuted.
Which one? Where are you at?
W.
W.
Christina.
Christina,
Thank you.
So the change recommendation from civil rights to constitutional rights? Is that what you guys are wanting to change, or are you wanting to keep it tribal member civil rights? Because we do have we did adopt the civil rights act. I'm not sure. Is that a change that the committee went along with, or it stays the same?
So it's basically saying that will not be given grazing privileges if you, as a violated an individual tribal member's civil rights.
That's what you.
No, I mean, that's how it's written, but I think there was just,
So the comment, the third comment down, it says change civil rights to constitutional rights. But then that change wasn't made. So is that,
because they want a legal opinion on what that's really trying to say, because they don't know if that's what it's trying to say, and they're not trying to.
on the website.
Because if you expand that to not tribal members, if it's a non-member, so say that grazing privileges would not be granted to non-member if they violated, you know how we have civil jurisdiction over non-members and not criminal jurisdiction? We didn't know if that changed from civil to constitutional, if that would change anything in having that civil jurisdiction over a non-member in relation to grazing rights privileges.
suggestion?
The public. But then when it came to committee, then I didn't even understand what they were saying, so I was way over here and everybody else was way over here. So Wayne's just like, well, maybe we need to have the lawyers look on it if those are some pretty weighted legal terms that I'm talking about. We don't just want to arbitrarily amend them, or if it's potentially changing the actual meaning of what we're saying.
Is there someone here that could,
Wayne, do you know who specifically made that comment? I know the part that I was talking about, my confusion, but I don't know the public that, why they were, you know.
I didn't make
Is
that
anybody
meeting.
here
You
that
know,
remembers that
Sammy?
conversation? I don't remember. Because I could probably just be making it way worse or make
Yeah,
it more complicated than it needs to be.
I don't.
couldn't we leave it in the hours?
I think we leave it.
So you leave it,
Just leave it and move forward.
just leave it, Wayne. Don't
That's it,
change
leave
it,
it.
move forward.
Okay, on A, section below it, any permittee who received a grazing permit contract as a first-time operator. No?
The first one is just changing that date from 2016 to 2026.
I have, this note is for some reason it must have went with the other top part.
The allocation categories, that one is to be talked about.
Yeah. So anyway, let's go to A, okay? So arrangements after December 1, 2016. That should be current date, right?
Yeah.
That needs to be changed to 2026. Okay,
So,
So we skipped over that one there that talks about explanation on allocation categories.
yes. Where the explanation was given to strengthen. Is any of that language included?
Sonny had to leave, so he wasn't able to sit in on our whole land and natural meeting, so I don't think he was able to be here for this part, unfortunately. So I was kind of hoping somebody.
and then
would be
today
out.
he has a doctor's appointment.
Okay.
So I have no idea what he says needs to be strengthened.
Can I comment on
Yeah.
kind of what he was talking about? When he said strengthen, he was kind of talking about, I guess, there were issues with first-time operators, the definition of like, quote me if I'm wrong, Mary, but what a first-time operator was. So he just mentioned, you know, if we could put some language in there about what we consider a first-time operator, because they had at BIA some conflict with that definition, and it caused, I guess, a lot of turmoil. So he just wanted, that's why he used the word strengthen. So I know he reached out like with Mary and asked what they consider first-time operators. And I think that's kind of what that means about strengthening the verbiage. Because it caused some issues came up at BIA with that.
Thank you.
Wayne, were there any discussions or suggestions given on what to, I mean, because I know that has brought up at Land and Natural about a little gray area on what a first-time operator means, depending on who you ask, and does TLE leases, all these other things count and things like that. And so does anybody have any suggestions on what type of language could be used to define that in a more appropriate way? Because I'm pretty sure that's what it was, now that you're saying that. I'm not running the meeting, but sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I give you permission.
FSA or NRCS actually has a pretty good definition, official statement of what a first-time operator is, and it gives some description of if you've ever owned cattle before or whatever. So I mean, maybe you could start with that as
Is it
a
applicable
basis.
to our situation, like how we have TLE and BIA and all of these different things? Because I think the thing here is that it specifically says range in it. But what happens if you had a TLE farm and pasture lease or something like that?
Right, and-
Then are you still a first-time operator?
And I think that's where he said the gray area was, like, is it someone that is just getting started, that never had a TLE lease or a range before?
Yeah.
Or is it someone that has a TLE lease, but now they want to get a range unit?
Yeah, because.
And I think that's where his gray area was.
Yeah.
Because there was big disputes over that.
Because I think the conversation when we were having that at Land and Natural went even further, because there was a portion in there that talked about like when you're young, like what's it called, like a
Beginning farmer.
a beginning farmer, but it's like you can't even get one when you're under 18. So how would that even look? So there was these programs that we didn't really, create yet, but it made sense if you had somebody signed up in these pre-whatever, that would then make you eligible as a first-time operator if you went through, kind of like how you have to go through a hunting guide or a hunt faith course or something when you're younger. It kind of made sense to get people prepared and then potentially maybe have a preference point given if you went through that apprenticeship or whatever it was called. But without that, then I really feel that we need to strengthen that definition of what a first-time
And I
operator is.
think that's kind of what that comment was on there for Sonny, was if he had some type of guidance.
While the chairwoman's out, would you since we suspended the rules, will you keep track of us?
Yeah.
Can I get the floor? Okay. So the USDA definition, beginning farmer or rancher program definition, it says, a beginning farmer or rancher means an individual or entity who A, has not operated a farm or ranch, or who has operated a farm or ranch for not more than 10 consecutive years. This requirement applies to all members of an entity. B, will materially and substantially participate in the operation of the farm or ranch. And there's a few more things here, but I guess I'm not sure if you want to go along with that same thing, or what was the thought process behind a beginning rancher? That you all were thinking, like somebody brand new just starting out? Do we want to adopt what these guys are saying here at USDA, or you want to create something?
So it was always pretty much, that was used as the definition, and it was like the 10 years. But it also said that if you didn't have a range unit, but we allocated range units to people that didn't have a range unit, because this only governs range units. But some of those people still had TLE leases. But since they didn't have a range unit, they were considered a first-time operator.
Because range units are bigger than regular leases?
No, just that they were going for a range unit, and that was the wording that was being used in there, a first-time operator. And so they just saw it as they didn't have a range unit, so we'll give them a range unit and be considered a first-time operator.
Is that what you guys want to continue to
Emily?
do?
Well, I just wanted to make a quick comment. So this was 10 years ago. And so like 10 years ago, our land ownership ratio was different. And even 10 years before that, it was a lot different. So when I started like in 2008, 2009, getting into land, VIA was managing majority of our land and TLE was managing maybe like a quarter of it. Now, because of, all of the land things and everything that have happened, it's like flipped, right? So range units and VIA are managing a lot less, but now TLE is managing a lot more. So we really need to make sure that when we're changing these things and looking at this for the next 10 years, that we're including how that language could then, filter into some of our other land policies about land management. Because for example, this range unit, you have to own 25% of your own cattle minimum. Those types of things don't happen on TLE. And so you're creating a little bit of an unbalancedness. And it was okay when TLE was the minority. But now that TLE is managing majority of tribal land, we really need to make sure that our land management plans are at least talking to each other, if not exactly the same in some of those aspects. So I'm just putting that out there because the percentage of owned and all of that is really important, and it's really different right now than what it was for this one and even the one previous to it.
Okay, so
Right.
the new, TLE lease does have that 25% ownership in it. But
But it's not approved yet, right?
We haven't
Haven't
approved it yet.
approved it yet.
That's pending council approval or board approval?
Board approval.
Council doesn't have to approve that.
So do we need to strengthen this today?
Well, I just am mentioning that because those are things that we could have those first-time operator definitions be similar. You know what I mean? They wouldn't be conflicting at least in a sense. So that's the only reason why I'm preferring or saying all that is so that we know.
Okay. How do you guys want to draft that? How do you want it to read? For the first time operator? We just want it to continue to be a person who has not had a range unit before. And in that instance, I don't think it should be called a first time operator.
Or been in the cattle business for at least 10 years. You know what I mean?
Less than
Because you could get 2 TLE leases in 10 years.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know I'm not an operator, so I'm going to shut up.
Any of you guys have input on what's your definition of a first-time operator?
Any suggestions for us?
Suggestions?
Yes. I've been married to my husband I've been with him for 22 years and Richard Topsway. I've been married to him for 12 years and I've been around it. And, I quit doing a lot of things because of certain things going on around the ranch. But I still know what's going on because I sit there and listen to him every day. And, if my dad was alive, I would have been a rancher. And there's a lot of people that know my dad. Some people do, Freddie Jones. And I would have been a rancher. I would have grew up. My dad was a rancher. So it's kind of, if it's in your blood, it's in your blood. I know how to round up cows and stuff. I don't know how to grind them, but I do know how to round them up.
Okay, so any permittee who has not received a grazing permit contract, who received a grazing permit contract is a first-time operator. One who has not had a range unit or been in the cattle business for 10 years, or hasn't depended on raising cattle on the Rosebud Reservation for a livelihood as an operator, including the cooperative or partnership arrangements after 2016, so 2026, and continue to exercise their privilege to allocate up to 400 head.
I think we should. Well, that gets to say 2026.
Yeah.
Or holds a TLE lease,
Yeah,
or does not hold a TLE lease to be another.
one who has
almost like
not had
just-
a range unit, TLE lease, or bid.
It's just adding that, really.
Yeah.
That would be the
Just
only-
adding up.
That's what I feel like that was the only thing that I can remember in the last 3 years that was an issue is if you had a TLE lease or not. Does that consider a first-time operator? Some people were like, yes, it does because it's not a range unit. Some people were like, no, it doesn't because you're still an operator of cattle. So that was the only kind of gray area that I remember. So if we inserted that, just in that same definition and just added a TLE lease, I feel that clarifies that.
So, main unit, GLE, lease, or minimum cattle business for the past 10 years. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I was, but again, I'm not the operator, so that's why I don't wanna stick my foot in my mouth again.
Yep, add it. Right,
So you're adding
add
what?
that to it.
If they do, also if they do not have a TLE lease. So you'd have to have,
Where are we? So if one
Um,
has not had a range unit,
does not have a range unit, has not been an operator for 10 consecutive years, will participate in the farm and ranch operation, and if they do not have a TLE lease,
That's what you'll consider.
right?
so we're keeping the same one and just adding that TLE lease after range unit.
Yeah. And that was what would consider somebody a first time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. And then for B, as in boy, for allocation, application of grazing privileges beginning December 1, 2026 needs to be put in there. Must be filled with the superintendent by September 1, 2026. Okay. That was just basically a change for that, I think, right? Yeah, change the date. Okay, C is in cat, youth mentoring program to encourage young people to establish livestock operations or to assume their family business. The following will be available. RST youth applicants 9 to 17 years of age that own no cattle will be allowed under a provision plan of 3-year period to actually own at least 10 head of livestock. All youth applicants shall be granted grazing privileges under supervised plan and assistance. Family and/or adjoining operators may volunteer to assist in the first-time applicant in establishing and continuing the family business in exchange for compensation of contributions such as time, labor, machinery, and cattle in the form of deductions from the next year of the lease or an extension of one of the following grazing permit contracts. So that is, the public comment on it was agreed to leave section C, the youth mentoring program, agreed to strike the quarter or more requirement to claim Indian preference for operators. Is it in there?
On the next page. I don't know.
Can take less than I had a program. You think less than I had a program.
Oh, Wayne, it was from that note up above where that individual had those recommendations. That's what those are referring to.
Oh, okay.
So after the discussion and the public said not to go along with that one individual's recommendation of a quarter or more.
Yep. But the applicants for the youth, there is a youth program in FSA that they can borrow like $20,000 or up to so many head, 5 head or something like that. Right?
Yeah.
And that's up until they're 18 and then they gotta apply for an adult program loan.
Do I have a question? Oh, sorry, I didn't see you up there, sorry. Do you know, or does anybody know why that was not ever implemented or acted upon? Because it's been in here since at least 2001. This 2001 resolution also has that youth mentoring. And then the last grazing, and then, so I was just curious. It seems like it would be great opportunity. Does anybody know why it didn't, or maybe who should have started it? Or who was, I guess, asked for? No? Okay.
All they ever did was saddle solo with any of these things like the foreign cattle tax and stuff like that. So I guess that would have been up to
They probably
them.
didn't task it to no one, so it just didn't
They
get
never
done.
tasked anybody specific.
In 01-137, it says on page 9, number 3, the Rosebud Extension Agent, Sinte Galashka University, will meet with the Farm Service Agency, other federal agencies, and RST Land and Natural Resource Committee to develop a plan for the supervision and education of the youth receiving. So it's in here. We just need to follow it. Yeah.
Do we
the
still have a Rosebud
137.
extension at SGU? Yes. Yes? Do you think maybe we can make contact or at least share with them? Because like maybe nobody's even made them aware that they're an important role in our grazing resolution. Because I think that extension office still exists over there, I'm pretty sure.
Let's bring it up if you want to do it.
Yeah.
Let's
bring it up.
No changes then? Leave it?
I'd like to make a motion just look on record that somebody reach out to the Rosebud Extension agent with Cynthia Glushko University.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, as for leave it?
No, I want to leave it because I think it would be an important part of building this for our future and getting people access and generational and all of the things that we talk about. That would be the best start.
Okay.
But do I need to make that motion to make sure that we have that? Because it's been 25 years that nobody's done that. So maybe if we could just task it. Who would I task to do that?
You can
Maybe the chair of
go out of Land and Natural.
Chair of Land and Natural Committee, would you be able to, and you're on the
Yeah.
board? Okay. I'll make a motion asking the Land and Natural Committee Chair to set up a meeting with the Rosebud Extension Agent and Cynthia Glushko University to start discussions on the development and plan for the supervision and education of the youth. Mentoring.
Come second. Phillips, any discussion? No? Mike? Quick question? All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed?
0.
Not voting?
2.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Page 10 done?
So I'm kind of confused though, why they have this quarter and more blood degree thing in this section though. It doesn't really.
Right.
Because it was supposed to be in the allocation, remember they were talking about the allocation point system? From my understanding, I wasn't there, but from the recap that I was given is that the discussion was that they wanted an additional preference point for somebody a quarter or more in the allocation process of preference point.
Okay.
And then after further discussion, it sounded like no, that was just maybe one individual and not the consensus of the room. And so then later in the notes, they said, no, let's not go forward with that. That's what I remember from the note.
But I think that should be in F. All applicants for allocations must, and then either put it in there or not put it in there.
What page are you on? 11?
11. But they're talking about it in section A of 10A. And so I think that's a conversation for 11F. Because it's putting mandates of who can get a range unit. Correct?
But we struck it overall.
Yeah, but
We're gonna, well, I hope we are, but anyway,
the public didn't even want to
I'll bring it up on F.
the public,
We're going to bring it to the public. First time permittee shall be able to allocate land for a period not to exceed the duration of the grazing resolution, which expires in December of 36. That's what that would be, the next date change. And the committee or the public said change the date from 26 to 36, which is correct.
I want to back up that if it says to strike it, we need to strike it because we're in violation of the constitution.
It's not in this point yet. We can make a motion to strike, but it's got to be, we got to ask the public first. So now when you come down to point system, the final meeting notes add a point system, ancestral connection to the range unit for the generational operators is 5, adding it like 1, 2, 3, 4, they want to add 5 as ancestral connection to the range unit for the generational operators. 6, incentive evaluation for right to first refusal, 6 points. Land and Natural just agreed to go along with that, I guess.
I have a question.
Huh.
But
Could you explain more on the process and who would, like what defines an ancestral connection? And who would be the sign off, or where would someone go to get like a proof, I guess, that you have ancestral connection? I was just curious as to, you know what I mean? Because that's an important thing, but I was just wondering, how would somebody prove that other than just.
The committee agreed, but we wanted definition of what that means.
What was discussed was generational, not access.
Okay,
I
generation.
think somebody just.
So not ancestral, just generational?
Pretty much agreed upon there.
And then that would be by leases generationally, or again, how would we prove a generational connection? I'm just wondering, because
Probably if you were a previous permittee family.
Yeah, I think that's what they were.
but only from a leasing perspective, like I wasn't born here, I didn't live along this river, and so I have a connection to this land.
It was
So-
just with the range units.
So it was just if my family leased this land, not if I had allotted or lived there or anything. 'Cause I would think that would need to be explained somewhere, on what we're talking about in order to be enforced.
I'd like to make a suggestion with everything that you're discussing today. At the very end of this, you need a definition page to answer a lot of these questions. Because there's a lot of unanswered questions, but if you have a definition page on, like you're saying, ancestral generation, some of the terminology in here needs a definition page at the very end of this when we're all done. And the other thing is that I went and I talked to Eric when I stepped out, and I'm gonna have him come in because once we're all done going through this whole thing, it needs to be in a final draft before we motion to approve it. So basically, what we're doing today is a working session to finalize this, and so we can move forward.
Still probably has to be passed on 27th.
Yeah, and then it'll be passed on the 27th, so that all the changes are made, you can see them in black and white, and then on the 27th, you approve them, so that everything you're saying today, all recommended changes, will be in black and white, they'll be in the final draft, and then you can approve it. So that's what we're basically doing, so I asked him about that, and that was his recommendation, that we can't motion to approve this today until it's actually in draft form. So we'll also create that definition page while we're at it. Yeah, Monica?
I'm sitting here thinking about, generational to me is people that are allottees or have airship allottees or have some allotment still hanging on that didn't give up or sold. To me, that's a generational because your allottees were given that land and it was to be passed down to your generations to help them with their economic development. And so that should be a point to me in all of this system as far as generational also. Farmers, ranchers.
So generational is generational instead of ancestral connection to the range unit or the generational operators. Because it kind of plays into number 4, an applicant who owns a greater amount of land within the range unit that they are applying for, and they get 2 points.
Yeah, otherwise you're duplicating it.
Yeah.
No for number 5?
I don't really see a point for it.
So you'll take the ancestral and put generational.
We just put generational.
And then you also need a point there. There's the,
Yeah,
that
1
point is not defined.
1 point?
1 point. And that's for generational. Incentive evaluation for the right of first renew or first refusal, 6 points. That's for people who have been doing improvements to the range unit in the time that they had the permit. Correct? So you're gonna get 6 points for doing improvements during your range unit on your right to first refusal.
I got a question that, like on a range unit, if you own private land, in a range unit, does that give you any points if it's not tribal and it's private?
It gives you 2 points.
It's gonna determine how much fence I got like before.
range in it. If I move it, this would be like that, water mains. So if you own land within it, you'll get 2 points. That's what number 4 says. And then if you own land within it, then, or if you own land within it, you'll get 2 points. If you are generational with it, like you're talking about, you're owning within it, living within it, then you'll get 1 point. Right? Emily?
I have a question on the one where you talked about if there is incentives or improvements or something. Is that something that has to be established at the beginning to say that, hey, I'm gonna do these improvements? Or can you just come through at the end and be like, look at all these improvements I did, now pay me for them, or give me preference points for them, or, you know what I mean? Does it have to be part of a plan? Is basically what I'm asking.
Charlie, you want to answer?
And does it have to be documented?
Every year, if you're putting improvements on there, you should go in with great, planning and do an improvement sheet.
Okay, so
It's up to.
So you said should, so it's up to them, so if they don't and they're
Yeah,
not
then-
documented,
If it's not
then.
documented,
So can
Yeah.
somebody come at the end of their 10 years with receipts and be like, look at all the stuff I did, but it's not documented, like, and the reason why I'm asking is because it comes up on some of these other things that I feel, if it's not, it should be in the policy somewhere so people know that if you want to claim these improvements as improvements, you need to let us know that you're gonna do the improvements or something like that.
It's in your contract. If you want to credit for your improvements, you have to write them down. And it has to be written down when you get them, so you don't show up at the end of 10 years and try to get paid for them if I don't get approved. Because there's a whole time that they're considered,
But the value of it might depreciate over time.
Depreciation.
Because you might put something in for 10 years and it's not even a value after that 10 years. You know what I mean? So I'm just wondering how those are built into that.
yeah, you're supposed to do it so that they can give you credit for it, for the depreciation. That's the word I was looking for.
renewable range improvement.
Yeah, removable range improvement.
Thank you.
That's what it is. Okay. Residency F. Be 18 years of age, enroll member, eligible for enrollment in the Rosebud Sioux tribe by December 1, and show proof of residency by providing 3 forms: a physical address in permittee's name, such as Cherry Todd electric statement, Golden West telecommunications statement, South Dakota driver's license, etc. During the contract period, residency is defined as physically living within the original reservation boundaries, Todd, Millette, Tripp, Lyman, and Gregory counties, for a minimum of 1 year. Public said,
And travel lady.
Sarah, I'm confused on, you're talking about an operator, but so when you say by December 1, is that assuming of the first year of the contract, or what does that mean by December 1?
because of December 1 is when they give your bill.
So could I apply for it as a 17-year-old, with the understanding that I'm going to be 18 by December 1 of that contract year? Or would I've already had to be 18 in order to apply? I'm just curious what you're saying by December 1.
Oh, yeah. Be 18 years of age, eligible for enrollment, Rosebud Sioux tribe by December 1, and show proof of residence. Yes, right?
Okay, so you, prior to even applying. So it's not like you can apply as a 17-year-old and then say I'm turning 18 on December 1.
No, you gotta be
The
18
previous-
application time.
Eligible for enrollment?
Eligible.
Yeah, we could be enrolled.
You should be enrolled. Even if it's eligible, like, they can take it, it comes to you guys if you don't enroll them.
Yeah, but if we don't enroll them, or they don't enroll, so. we can enroll.
Yeah, because enrollment quit giving those letters they said too. Pending letters.
Eligible for enrollment. You're not eligible, enrolled.
So you should be enrolled,
Should be
yeah, by December.
Strike or eligible for enrollment.
So just strike or eligible?
Or eligible for enrollment in. So it just say an adult enrolled member of the Rosebud Sioux tribe by December 1st.
Okay. Here's another one that, number 2, post-secondary students, you must provide current enrollment documentation. You will have 5 years to complete your post-secondary education. Questions, discussion on the number of years. Why is there a limit? Maybe consider add or more at the discretion of the Land and Natural Committee. And then Land and Natural Committee said that we agreed with 5 years. Stay is the same. And that's just to get your degree within that time frame and not have to live on the reservation.
Because anything beyond that would be over half of your term.
Okay. Any objection or comment? Okay. Submit an application for allocation of grazing privileges, documents accompanied by satisfactory proof of establishment that the applicant owns the required number of livestock for the range unit and preference category he or she is seeking. The public comment said number 4, questions on the bond requirements and his notarized promissory note for livestock exchange, same as a bond. So what they're meaning is the FSA promissory note. Because you may be applying for a range unit, but not own the animals yet, but FSA will give you a note that says you qualify for X amount of dollars and you are buying animals, but you can't buy the animals and not have any land to put them on yet.
Yep.
Okay, you good? Yeah.
Wait, before we go on F, we added that comment to add the tribal IDs in there. Can we accept that? Because they list 3 forms and then the comment was to add a tribal ID as a valid form, but I didn't know if the group has accepted that.
Oh.
Whereas in the parentheses, Terry Todd, Golden West, driver's license, and tribal lady.
And or tribal ID, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I just wanted to make sure.
I
Thank you.
missed that, sorry, thank you. Okay. Okay, so since we're talking about allocations,
Hold on, Wayne. Sammy?
On that comment for 4, and you said, you know, with the FSA, that can turn over something saying that they haven't bought the cattle yet, but it wasn't food. What about if it's a financial institute?
Yep.
Would that be,
because it already says and or loan document of official lending agency. That's on one of the bottom on 4.
thank you.
You bet. Okay, on allocations then. Now I'll go back to that comment that was from a meeting some point in time about lineal enrollment.
Yeah.
Okay, so the public apparently approved that or something, and it says discussion on lineal category, and this will be left open for further discussion. The committee disagreed with adding no lineal, and we agreed to leave it as in the original document where it just says you have to be an enrolled member.
What are you on, 11 or 12?
We're still on the allocation portion, and that's where it should have been. But they added it clear back here on page.
Wait, but I thought the final
Yeah.
note was that they didn't want to, they had that discussion about enrollment and then it was decided just to leave it, right?
Well, it says this guy,
But it's only, remember.
I'm not gonna say his name, considered the quarter or more to claim Indian preference.
If you go down a couple notes, then they say that they would prefer not to do
I
that.
have a comment back in the corner. But
In that same section that you're talking about, that comment section on page 10,
Yeah.
it also has for the point system, which is section E2. There was a recommendation to add points for first-time operator and for female operators in the point section, and that was not discussed when we went through the point section.
page 11 for your point six.
Yeah, it was actually on page 11 that the discussion should have happened, but the notes were on page 10 in section A.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I do remember, I wasn't there for the public comments, but on the last land and natural meeting that we had, it was briefly discussed about the woman's preference. And there was just some concern there about, would that bring about anybody trying to abuse that portion as far as just, I don't know how to say this, but help me out here, Wayne, what was your concern? About somebody just using a woman for front their operation or something, when that would really deter from actually women who are wanting and are doing this. So the discussion was how could we have language in there to differentiate between, and I don't even want to say like a true operator, but you know what I mean, like somebody versus somebody who's just finding a woman to get a preference point, kind of how somebody, anyway.
The committee was really questioning on how to vet that, because how do you prove that giving a preference point to a woman over others, when what if that almost encouraged a non-member to go find an Indian woman to get a preference point for arranging it, like put it in her name?
But it's in your marriage.
And what if he's a non-member? What's that?
I said, put a 10-year marriage in there. You put the 10 years in earlier that they had to operate for 10 years or didn't operate for 10 years for a first-time operator.
She's saying your marriage had to have lasted 10 years, right? Is that what you're
And
have ended preference, period.
This year,
Women and men.
here we go again. We have to abide by the rules just like all the men do and all these other operators. We have to go in and prove that we're the ones that are working out there. We have to bring our own paperwork in. We have to do all of that. So why do we need to have it men versus women?
Yeah.
This is operator.
Remove the preference point?
Charlie,
Can you remove the preference point? Because I mean, have you asked Eric if that's discriminatory?
Well, what is the preference point right now?
There isn't one. They're
There
asking
isn't
to
one.
add
There isn't one. They were asking to add one for women.
for women.
But we don't have to.
Yep.
No,
That's not even.
Strike it out, because you almost want to say, if you put that in there, it's almost discriminating a little bit, because you know what, we're equal, we can just work just as hard and do just equal. So leave it at that.
right.
Is it a violation of your civil rights act?
So, yep, so let's leave it, yeah, not label, because
What about the?
we already have women out there working hard.
no preference point for women,
First-time
What
operator.
about first-time operator?
for some operators.
Do they have a preference point or was that a suggested add?
First-time operators do have a preference point.
They do have a preference point. And what was your question on it?
That was it, that there was no discussion. It's in the notes, but there was no discussion. That's what it is.
Was the discussion to leave it or to
Just that you should have a discussion on it.
Okay, but it's already in there, right? You're already getting a preference point?
Yep.
So I'm just wanting to make sure, are we leaving out anything as far as from the discussion to consider?
I think you're on top of it.
Removal of preference point for women.
But it's not in there, so.
It's not in there, so.
It's not in there, so you're not even, it was just a comment.
Yeah.
It wasn't
We're
anything.
not
We're just not adding it.
We're not adding.
So you moved on.
Okay. Now, the other one is the controversial one. Is there going to be any action taken? The committee and apparently half of the, I don't know, it just says that they discussed it at a public forum of quarter or more. The committee is saying removal and leave as is, where this says enrolled tribal member.
Yep, because that last comment says agreed to leave section C and agreed to strike the quarter or more requirement to claim it. So that was the final.
Just have it.
After all of that discussion, that's what they decided. Just leave section C, which we already did, and to agree to strike that quarter conversation that they
Does
just had.
council want to follow the committee's recommendation? And apparently,
That was the public's recommendation.
no, we made that at our committee meeting. That's that's what I'm reading off.
This comes from the final meeting notes on 1/28/26. Agreed to leave section C, the youth mentoring program, and agreed to strike the quarter or more requirement to claim Indian preference. And then when we discussed that committee, we agreed to go along with that suggestion. But also to bring it here, if council wanted to rehash the whole quarter or less or more, that would have been up to them, but the committee was
Why
agreeing
did
to
it
that.
come up to begin with?
One individual brought it up here, they had a big discussion on it, and after the discussion, then they decided just to leave it alone.
In the last public meeting that we held, we hashed this out. And we had 40-some people in there. And, because they had that quarter glove in there, and we hashed it out, and we said, no, take it out. Anybody who's enrolled, because the tribe made a decision to enroll them, so they're eligible even if they're lineal.
Yeah, that's what our committee says. But on mine, it doesn't say that, you guys, and that's why I'm trying to read it.
Oh,
It just
sorry,
it jumps right into Leroy Greaves recommends having a category.
Sorry, on page 10, that last note there, last comment. But what happened?
Oh, okay, I thought it just said youth.
The
and it was
last,
striking
both
it.
of them.
Okay. Well, anyway, does council approve going along with leaving it as is, just enrolled tribal member? Or does the council want to put in a quantum? Committee says no, public says no.
When you say public, you mean the ranchers, right?
The operators.
Not the lattes, not,
They had a chance to come. Those meetings were supposed to be for allottees, public, and operators.
see, this could have been an ordinance, because that could have been a public hearing.
It was. We announced it as public hearing. That's why this individual who brought it up was from the public. He wasn't an operator. He came in and just threw it out there one night. That's what I was told.
That's true.
Monica?
You know,
And then
that's
Sammy.
why I say you should have a point on here for allottees, at least a point, even though you're not doing the, enrollment is
There
enrollment,
is.
no matter what.
There's 2 points for allottees
Okay.
and
There
landowners.
is, I didn't see that on here, I guess maybe I
Is it
misunderstood.
4? Or one that had it?
Okay, so
Then that should take care of that.
applicants who own a greater amount of land within a range and applied for get 2 points.
Okay.
And then if you are a lottee, you fall underneath the generational, and so you get another point. So you'd actually get 3 if you own land and was within a range.
Sammy's next.
Well, and I know like Wayne and them, they did try to set meetings up for allottees, it was open. I'm the landowner, and I would check to see if ever any meetings were ever held, and I don't think none were held, I don't, they showed. So there was opportunity, I guess.
And then, next to you, Ann, in the black. Yeah. Yeah, you've been waiting, so.
No, that's fine. Calvin said everything I wanted to say.
All right.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that. He covered it.
Now, Sherry.
Okay.
I know that this issue is very controversial with the lineal. I sit on the enrollment committee, and I get a lot of emails from people from out of state that don't necessarily live here. Well, they don't live here. They live in some other state, and some of them have like an enrollment of 0.0039, and they want to know what benefits they get from being a tribal member. And from what I'm under the understanding and impression is all of these benefits that TLE is creating is because of the fact that these current entities that exist have been sued and found guilty of discriminating against Indians, we wanted to make sure that our entity gives preference to our tribal members. And I'm not against lineals, but I am against someone who lives in California who wants to come here and outbid all of you in here because they're 0.0039 and they're a lineal. So I just want to say to be leery of that because some people will come with large amount of money to back them when it comes to this. But if this is what the council wants to do moving forward, I mean, all I know is that this discounted rate that we offer, it prevents the tribe from getting a full amount of money. And we just have to be really considerate of that. Like Councilman Bolta saying earlier, we do have to make business decisions. I want to make sure that our tribal members have preference and they're not overlooked. We want to make sure that you're supported for economic development. But at the same time, I do know that this is a very controversial issue. So if we're talking preference points, then maybe we should think about having some preference points here when it comes to this as well. If the council is going to move forth with all enrolled tribal members.
And I think you can do that.
Yeah, just
The Constitution gives the council the right to determine all questions relative to membership. Now, what is that? That's a pretty broad statement.
yes, yes.
Phillips?
You know, we always talk about unity. I'm gonna say it live on there is no, when we're enrolled, and I do agree with you. Those that have never lived here, have never experienced, who don't know our traditions, our way of life, they don't deserve to have someone as a front man. They don't, because they don't know what we live and what we go through here. But for generational ones, lineal, you do deserve it. You deserve it. You deserve to continue to keep that generational thing going on for years to come. I heard someone say, I have grandchildren that I want to continue this on, because some of us aren't going to be here. And we do need the younger ones to keep the generational going on. And, you know, what you do for one, you do for all. Do all our tribal entities pay leases? You know, what you do for one, you do for all. So when it comes to lineal, when it comes to our land, because these landowners do take care of our land. They have to. We have our, and you know what, we need to make people be accountable. Because if our entities aren't doing their job as far as going out and checking the land, we need to start monitoring that. And I think that's where certain positions come in that we want to hire to make people be accountable. Because it's not fair to those that fix their land, take care of their land, do their rotation. But yes, lineal, we're going against our Constitution until we change things. But I think, you know, they do deserve it. But not like Cher said, someone who lives off in California coming here. No.
No, I get it. Lineals come in all different, you know, circumstances. Some fathers won't sign the papers for their kids. So someone who should be 4/4 or something could be 50% right off the bat. So I get that because I sit on the enrollment committee and this council has hashed out these issues several times. I guess just to speak truthfully and openly and blatantly, my fear is not lineals. My fear is any tribal member who makes out over a certain amount of money, who could be considered wealthy, coming in, getting discounted tribal rates that are intended for struggling ranchers, upcoming ranchers, that they reap the same benefits as those tribal members. And I don't know, this may be a different discussion for a different day, but we really need to find that, because if Tammy's making $1 million net profit every year and Totes is making 100,000 and they're paying the same thing. And I'm over here at the tribe and I'm only getting $14 a head for both of you. That's not fair to the tribe. We all seen that the people in this room pay for our Rosebud Fair. $500,000 in lease revenue pays for our fair. And pays for other things as well. You know, we get our dividends from TL, and that really helps carry us. So for me, I have to look at this from 3 different points of view. From the people who, you know, have what has a direct effect on the potential and the tribe. Because all the funds that we get, every discount we give is $1 less for the tribe, which is $1 less for our programs that offer services or investment in whatever we want to do. So I'm just saying, going forward, we need to set some time aside, or Land and Natural Committee, you should come up with some formula or some metrics, so that way it's going to be fair for our tribal members who actually live here, work here, are doing the work. And we can't have somebody whose percentage is below 0 getting the same benefits as them. So that's all I'm saying, is nothing racist or against anyone. To me, it comes down to money, not about that lineal stuff. The lineal is important as far as, you know, addressing it, but I do understand, like, it's been a struggle with all of that. And it's been very controversial. However, if there's a way to factor in net income when it comes to this, to make it fair for operators. And when it comes to, what is it called? Subleasing as well. Those are things that need to be addressed. And I know that's controversial, and I don't want to make you guys hate me, but I have to think about the tribe. And if you rent out our land, like LEAP is going to be cut this year, according to Trump. He cut LEAP. A lot of people will freeze this winter if we don't fund that program. And you guys bring in our revenue. So when we give you a discount, then we can't offer more funds to our tribal program. So it puts us in a situation. Anyways.
Tammy, Monica, Totes.
I'm good.
Monica and Totes.
I can understand it's very touchy. But anybody almost 0 can sit on there and be enrolled is really phenomenal to me.
Yep.
I was sitting at home and I was thinking, my grandkids, who's going to take my ranch? I want them all to share. I have Rubidoo kids, Larby. I have Scott, grandkids. I have one that's a braper. You think that anybody's going to help that braper kid? It has to be me. So I understand that.
You know, Councilwoman Wright, kind of what she said is true, and another day for this discussion, because we brought it up on council last week about this subleasing. We have a rancher from generation to generation who operates year-round, 24/7. When it's a blizzard out, storming out, whether you're sick or not, you're married to your cattle, you have to go out there. And when we sublease just during certain months of the year, you get the pleasure to enjoy this warm weather. You get the pleasure to even have the non-Indian come in and check the wells for you. When a true rancher literally works 24/7. You know, and where do we find the balance there? Because we asked if TLE, if they would, because some of these ones that sublease, they do own cows. And I'm not bashing nobody, they do own cows, but we have some that don't. And who's that fair to? And those ones that don't, why don't we sublease that and bring that money in here for LEAP for heating this winter, or for our youth, for our elders. We need to think out of the box, and we need to really have meeting after meeting and plan a lot. But I just wanted to throw that out there. But we're on this and we're almost done with it. We have a page and a half left.
Kelvin?
Can throw something out here that I hope everybody understands. I think we'll Mike, you've been here a long time. But we do have tribal operators who have allocations, who don't touch that allocation. They get a pasturing authorization, the non-tribal member that pasturing cattle for runs the whole show. So in other words, in my mind, that tribal member is turning over the sovereignty of our tribe to a non-tribal member. And if you're gonna get some people to start enforcing this, which needs to happen, it is happening out there, and it bugs me. It's about sovereignty.
What you're saying, Calvin, is that the allocation system is being abused.
It's being abused.
Right.
Always has been.
I mean, you're entitled to one or two allocations, I don't know what the number is. But after that, you're on your own, as far as claiming preference under an allocation, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm the only one that's got one allocation out of everybody in here. Everybody else goes up, but there are them out there who are, they get a
They
pasturing
get an
authorization.
allocation and they stay on that status forever.
Yeah, and they walk away, and when I turn it over to a non-Indian, I'm not happy, because that's my sovereignty.
Those kinds of things is what makes this exercise hard.
Yeah.
I have Tammy, Wayne, and Charlie.
I just want to express my opinion on subleasing. With the subleasing part of it, to me, it's a real for an individual that's not reported to the IRS. And I think that they should have to have a business license if they're going to be subleasing to non-members or whatnot, but that's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but yeah.
We're getting into weeds. That is covered already. In order to have a range unit, you gotta own 25% of the carrying capacity. So the question that is on the floor right now is that whether you want lineals or quarter or more to have range units. The committee and the majority of the public apparently as well, but the committee made a recommendation as well that leave the document as is. You have to be just an enrolled member in order to have a range unit. The discussion for the council is either to approve quarter or more, or just a tribal member to have a range unit. And it says in the original document, a tribal member is qualified to have a range unit.
Charlie?
Yeah, I just wanted to add what somebody already also did, but for Tammy, most of us file a Schedule F with the IRS every year. And I can't remember what it is, Schedule 99? And so if Emily's subleasing, that person is going to claim that as rent or feed, and she's going to get a 1099. And so those are documented, and operators do pay taxes on that. Coming from a financial institution, my 8 to 5 job, and knowing a little bit of history, subleasing was originally intended because financial institutions would not work with native operators on trust land. So the intent was, it was a way for our grandparents, our parents, to pay their lease to the tribe and to have operating money because banks would not mess with them at all. And its intention was to, every year, you grow a little bit more and sublease a little bit less. And also, I wanted to tell Mr. Bolt, I guess, tough raised nuts, really well tucked in Joe. None of us in here are entitled to this land. We are privileged. I just wanted you to know that.
And incidentally, the 1099 threshold was raised to $3,000 now, isn't it? I think the 1099 threshold has been raised to $3,000 now.
$600.
Yeah, it used to be $600. So that helps you out a little bit.
Emily?
As far as the IRS is concerned. Who cares about them, anything?
Thank you, I just wanted, oh, sorry, I thought you were done.
No, I'm good.
Sorry, I just wanted to add real briefly to what the comment that was just made. I think that that's important to know the history of subleasing as a form of investment or a form of your business plan. I think what's missing is the policy requiring a business plan to say that. Because although her experience, that's not what the policy mandates. The policy does not say after a certain amount of year or every year or something like that, the finances or the subleasing or whatever should change. Like I mentioned earlier, there's not even a requirement at TLE to own any cattle or livestock of your own to lease. And so those are the things that I'm talking about as our policies and our things that do not talk to each other. So if we're gonna spend all of this time and all of this thing because we all want better for our people, better for our land, then I think that that needs to also then say that in our policies regarding our management plans and the enforcement of that management. And the reason why I say that is you cannot have a cookie cutter management plan for all of our land. Every single tract of land is different. Every single tract of land, because of the purpose that the operator has, is even going to make it more different. The plant life, the water access, all of these things are going to make that unique. And that operator needs to understand that and should tell TLE, BIA, us, I know that. And so that's why in the best interest of the land and my pocket, there's balance. Because if I'm doing what's best for my pocket, I'm not often doing what's best for the land and vice versa. So those are the types of things that we as a tribal nation should be putting into our requirements of what we expect for good management. And then we should also be supporting the enforcement and the compliance aspect of that. Because if you're not, we could sit here and talk blue in the face about enrollment and access to land and generational and all of that. But the truth of the matter is, you could have a full blood right now abusing our land just as much as you could have somebody who's 5% or whatever we're looking at. So I just think there's a lot more to what we're talking about here today. And if we really want to get back to caretaking of the land, it's going to start with our policies and our management. And maybe we should start by requiring some type of ownership, but also some type of growth in your management plan over that 10 years or lease term. Thank you.
We didn't get an answer on what the council wants to approve. Tribal member gets a range unit, a quarter and more gets a range unit. Medium ground, if there couldn't be a agreement, the committee said move ahead with a quarter or more gets one preference point. So is it just tribal member gets range unit, or is there going to be a preference point system implicated?
I just have a question. I don't know if any of it was discussed at the public forums, but I'm assuming this talk has been around for a long time, right? So has there been any, like, I don't know, legal reasons why we should or should not move forward? Or if we are going to move forward with this, are there any legal things that we need to take into consideration in how we're moving forward with this so that we're not impeding on any of our tribal member civil rights, or so that maybe our enrollment policies could then match these or something like that? I'm just wondering if there's a legal clause or involve a legal opinion in how we move forward with that.
I'm not sure unless you guys discussed it in Land and Natural.
The public said leave the document alone. That's just a tribal member gets a range unit. The Land and Natural Committee said a tribal member can qualify for a range unit. What is council wanting to do?
Support that.
Is that okay? You are up in Washington Chiefs for the look. I was doing some things tonight. I wouldn't have come, but heard about lineal stuff. I just heard somebody say full blood. And I am full blood. My name is Darrell Marcus Kildensack. My grandfather, George J. Kildensack, Anton Rubidoux, and Mr. Harold Schunk made TLE long time ago. 1943. They're the ones that made the whole document. That's what you see at TLE, but nowadays I see it's quite different. What I'm here is don't vote on this millennial thing right now. But you're gonna hurt a lot of people. Save it for another day and let us, the people, come here or over at SGU have a big public forum about this millennial thing. Somebody said someone in California might have just an ounce of blood and can take whatever land they want. How much money they have. I'm here to ask you, don't do anything with any lineal stuff. Because my grandfather, when they made that thing, that whole book, it didn't have no lineal stuff in it. No lineal stuff at all. And I've been sitting on TLE board for quite some time when I sat there. I sat there for 3 terms. Now, I'm not here to be angry, I'm not here to be nothing, any kind of emotion. But I think it was, Madam Chair, don't do anything with this lineal stuff. Not right now. Because man, you're gonna light a fire if you do. I believe there's a lot of professional people in here with a good amount of money, land, cattle, horses. That's good. I don't know, interview my grandma, my grandpa, were ready kills on site. We had about 400 black Angus cows and horses. And we kept that, and me and my brother managed those. We did fence work, we did everything what you ranchers are probably doing. But we didn't have ATVs, we didn't have nothing. We just had our hands. I'm asking you people, please, don't do anything that's illegal in here. Don't do anything that's illegal in here, please. Because if you do, I'll be the first one to come through that door at the public. And they're all lawyers out there. I may look stupid or whatever, but say I'm smart lawyers. I'm asking you, don't do anything. You may do what you want, whatever things you're doing. Yes, Mr. Frederick, please sit up. I'm born. I'm a veteran. There's a lot of other people that have cattle and horses out there. Maybe only make $1,000 a month, but they do have cows and horses. On behalf of my grandfather, George J. Kildensight, don't do anything. Believe you. You know what it's going to do? It's going to get you guys all mad. You'll walk out that door and cussing and everything. You're going to have friends that you don't have friends after you walk out that door. Believe me, I've been here and I've seen it. I seen one man come in here. He wanted a lease, so he got a subleaser. Eddie Farmer said, well, come back later. You know what later did? A Washicha man became a travel member. Now, I don't know how the heck that happened. But that's okay, I guess. I apologize, Chip. I always speak out when I come down to things like this. Because this is my home right here. Right where you sit, this is me. Hand me a low. And I the wall, Bakiki Henna, Hells the Makahina, Henna, Yuha. No sooner taco in a iblucho. So, you know, I honor those flags up there, I do. But I wish we had an eagle sample. Make you think better. That's what I need right there. Here on council, have respect. Get something done. You gotta get your respect back into your heart, your mind. Start acting like somebody. You know, I'm old school, but you know what? Mr. Kendall, I'm sure you know that. We did things pretty good. If you put your mind and heart to it. You had enough Iowa Shale juice, by the way. Thank you.
Yes. Good afternoon, council. Good afternoon, Chairman, everyone. I just like to say that for the body that sits here, you're not the head of your household, of your children. You still have older people in your family that we still live like that. We still go home and we still discuss things with our families. And in your position, if I'm right, you go back to your communities and you take these issues back to your community. So I'm really hoping that you guys don't vote here today, that you really think about this, because it's not just your decision. It's not just 20 people's decisions. It's the decision of your community as well, who put you here, the people that are watching that put you here. And to all the millennials that are in this room, you should go to your communities and let the community know what you want to do, why you want to do it. Explain to them. You know, go back and get that support if that's what you want. But go back to the people, because this isn't the people right here. It's in the communities. And the last I knew, laws were made from communities by community members. It wasn't made by council and it wasn't made by AGs. The laws were made by the people, the families, and your heads of households. My head of households, they're gone. You know, I have my brother still, my sister lives in Rapid. So today I just want to say that you really need to think about what we're doing here today. We have to think about our kids and our grandkids, and we really have to think about this isn't just your decision. This decision belongs with the people. And I encourage you to take it back to your communities and discuss it. Don't make hasty decisions for me and my family, because we're the people who put you here to make the best decisions based on what's in our best interest. Somebody mentioned REAP. Those things are coming. We should be working on those plans. You know, we should be working on safety for our children that are living here on our reservation. We should be working on civil rights for our children. We don't have civil rights for our children living here on the reservation. We should be thinking about safety. You know, it seems like we take on really big issues because we can't even deal with the small ones that we need to deal with. So then we go off and we bring something out of the sky, and then we get everybody pitted against each other. You know, we need to work on things that bring unity, not things that divide. So everyone here needs to have that, you know, think about it. Think long and hard about your family when you walk out this door, the people that are going to approach you, because you are not the eldest here. You need to go back to the elders and ask them. There's wisdom there. The answers are with them. But it's not here. It's not here today. Thank you. It's up to you, council. If you're going to move forward with this, you're not. You're going to leave it as is, or you're going to change it?
We're not gonna approve it till next.
Oh, Mike?
I thought we weren't gonna approve it until the end of the month meeting.
We are, we just need to know what.
All that
so
means
they
they
can
typed
read
it up.
the final draft back was.
Well, yeah.
So we just need to know, are we gonna not or yes?
Yeah.
It sounds like we're gonna go with the public.
Any decision move forward.
Wayne, go on to your next.
I can't move. I can only
I mean,
Somebody's gotta move to approve, either leave it as is.
No, we don't gotta move to approve, because it's not a
You're not
change.
changing
Well,
anything.
it has to be at least an agreement. No one's making an agreement.
We didn't do it with any of the other.
Raise your hands if you wanna move on. Leave it at no change.
Leave it as tribal member, get a rain unit. Per committee and public.
Willie? Carl, Wayne, Aaron?
Well,
Alright,
Okay.
that's all I needed to move on.
Can I say something?
Page 12.
What, let's finish this up. No, let's finish this up and then I'll say what I have.
Alright, we're on page 12, Wayne? We're almost there.
No one shall be considered eligible for allocation if he or she is delinquent on BI, TLE, or Rosebud Sioux Tribe and penalties assessed on the settlement. Still the same. Struck. Everybody agree with that? It's already stated before, if you had a debt, you can't get a unit. Or could be eligible for cancellation. H, pasture authorization shall be required by all, on all units allocated, BI bid and open bid where livestock are taken in for grazing. Failure to obtain a pasture authorization will constitute a violation of the contract. The public said pasture authorization, considering family members who are eligible and tribal members for no foreign cattle tax, but we waive that, correct? So it's out, or not waived, removed.
Wait, well, they did it.
Section-
They still have to have a PA though, right? They
Still gotta have a
just-
PA
just
for
waive
any-
the foreign title
Yeah.
tax.
Section 6, allocation, application, and review procedures. They're saying allocation, application, and review procedures. I don't understand what that means. Number 5, applicant shall provide a copy of a valid registered South Dakota state brand. It's not really certificate, I guess you'd say certified brand, right, Dick? Inspection? So replace certificate with inspection?
Yep.
State brand. But how do you say just valid brand?
Certificate on there?
You just say a valid brand?
You gotta have a registered brand with the South Dakota brand.
So just take off certificate and it there, right?
Yeah.
You got it? Right.
Valid livestock brand.
Okay.
Valid livestock brand. And then just knocking out certificate. Yeah. Okay. One more. It was proposed in let's clean this one up first, final. Okay, the Rosebud Sioux Tribal Law and Order Code Titles 18 and 19, Environmental Protection, Chapter 7. We agree with the public at the committee, add Rosebud Sioux Tribal Historic Preservation Office, change the wording in the last sentence to violation of any of these codes.
Oh, yeah. Is that the last page? Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, page 13.
Adding typo and then changing that to these.
Yeah, adding TIPO, THPO, and removing titles 18 and 19?
No.
No?
So leaving those, you're just adding typo and then it's just that changing this to these.
Oh, okay. Adding TIPO and adding,
Violation of these codes rather than violation of this code.
oh, this code to these codes, yeah.
These codes, yeah.
Yeah. Now, there was another section on page 4, I believe. Okay, but it shouldn't have been in estates. So so that, sex offender portion belongs
On G?
in F. It should be in F, where it says what you are, what you have to be in order to get arrangement. And so we need to vote on, or come to a decision on,
What section says that, Wayne?
they put it in on page 4.
I see it in 4, but where are you saying it should?
It should be in section, F on the page 11. That's where it should be. Because number 11 puts all applicants in allocations list. That's where it says your qualifications.
Okay.
But they tried to fit it in,
In the F space. So this
and they
is,
tried to put it in the estates for
so this is the one for the Fallon discussion?
yeah, sex offender.
Oh, sex offender, sorry.
So I skipped over it earlier to bring it up in the end, because that's where it should be, is that section F.
Estates.
You move it from estates. Yeah,
From estates to which page?
it is.
I mean, 11.
11.
Under F, yeah, of 11. Okay, so
Under F on page 11.
Section 5, F1, section
it says this wording will not be added to the resolution, or shall be added to the resolution. Grazing privileges will not be granted to anyone who is on the sex offender registry. Any proposed sublease shall not be listed on the sex offender registry. So BIA says there's no way to follow, for them. No way for them to follow up on subleasing to a sex offender, because they would end up having to probably call and do a background on someone who's being subleased to, and who knows what state they're coming from. They may be subleasing to a guy from Texas. So the IA cannot do a background like that on someone from another state like that. So they're asking to strike the sublease portion, but this tribe still has to make a decision on whether or not they want to go with no sex offenders to have a range in it. Now, the public is asking for comment on that, and the committee was also, our stance was to just strike it altogether, because the committee felt they went to jail, they did their time, and in lack of better terms, one of the committee members said, would you rather have a sex offender, because no matter what, they have a family probably, and then they still have to take care of themselves. Would you want them working in the tribe, a school district, or somewhere around town? Or would you rather have them making a livelihood on their own out on the land? So it's up to the council. Do you want to add it in, as in no sex offenders can have a range in it? Or do you want to strike it and just go with the original document? That's just a tribal member can have a range in it. Apply for a range in it.
One of the questions that came up at committee was also, what was the intended outcome, I guess? Because I think whenever I heard it, it was like, if it's public safety or something like that, I was wondering why it was just sex offenders and not, violent crimes or murderers or felons of certain nature or something like that. And so some of the conversation at committee was surrounding what is the goal of something like that, and then maybe this may or may not be the best way of attaining that goal if it's for public safety or whatever, but we weren't sure what the actual intention of that specific one was for.
Derek?
Thank you. I'm sure this body gets tired of hearing me talk about this, but when it comes to, Ben said yes. When it comes to our system here, we all understand that our law and order code only goes so far, and certain crimes always get pushed to the feds, and then we're creating felons, and our system doesn't have room to, well, it does have room, but I don't know why our own prosecutor's office and police department aren't prosecuting people locally, keeping our people out of the federal system. Because this has such a big impact to us as a tribal nation. For one, we have felons that, a vast amount of felons, they can't vote or contribute to our community, and they come back and then they have served their time, and we're gonna continue to ostracize them and not allow them a livelihood. I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's being a good relative at all. I think we should just strike this and move forward, especially because if we really want to change how much felons we have here, then we really need to start focusing on programming and putting our money towards rehabilitation, and expanding our law and order code so that people could sit and do their time here as a tribal member rather than making people federal felons.
Thank you.
So I just want to move on, leave it as is.
Phillips.
You can move on and leave it as is, but people need to realize when someone's brain developed from birth, when they become an abuser, a molester, some of them it's for life. We had over 100 young children molested last year. And you tell me who's going to help heal them? We have women killed because someone beats the shit out of them. Who's going to help them heal? So I get very aggressive when it comes to this, because a lot of those are my young girls and young boys that I taught. No one's helped them. So we need to find our balance here. And we do need to change things here, because once they get arrested, it's out of their hands and placed into the courts. And that's where everything kind of falls through the cracks. Hell, someone can get sent to the federal system just knowing who you are. And I'm just saying this because, yes, we do need to move on, but we need to make people be accountable too. And we have programs that need to help also. Because those 100 kids, I want them to heal. Because we talk about making decisions for the 7 generations to come. We have lots of work to do here. Not just on this, but on everything. So I just wanted to point that out. Thank you.
Sherry.
Thank you, Tokes, for that. You know, I wholeheartedly agree with you and about who's taking care of our kids. I just want to say that when it comes to sex offender registry, there's different tiers. And just be mindful that a man or a woman could be publicly using the restroom and become a sex offender. Just because your name's on that register doesn't mean you necessarily assaulted somebody. I have a classmate who's on that register, and he's still with the girl that he went to jail for. So it's a thin line, and there's a lot of guidelines that are going to have to be added. So I would just suggest, if that's something we want to work on, we should just leave it as is, move forward, and then implement those for the next round. Just my suggestion.
Agree.
Okay. So it looks like you're just gonna leave it as is.
Agree to strike and just leave the document as is.
Okay.
No mention of felons or sex offenders.
And so we've gone through the entire resolution 2016-248. All the changes need to be made to it, and Eric can go over it, make sure we are not violating anything. We'll bring it back on the 27th to approve it. And that should meet that deadline, correct?
What's the time with me, right?
Please do it.
Thank you, everyone, for coming today.
Don't have anything else before we go? Happy?
Thank you. Congratulations, council. You did today, and not just you and Craig, but everybody else that came through that's intimately affected by this resolution. That they, this is their life, their career, and some instances, all they've done is known for their whole life. And I really appreciate that you did move on and made a decision. That's what we put you in those seats for. We don't always agree with you, but you need to make decisions. And there's mutual respect here, and it has to be mutual trust. We hope you respect the fact that
we delegated you our authority to act on our behalf, and we trust that you will do that. So, 27 should be a problem, shouldn't be a problem. We have a forum here today. This forum should show up on the 27th and move this thing forward without any issues. And everybody, I think, everybody that's affected by it is pretty much in agreement, maybe not 100%, but with the major issue, things in it. I want to briefly address the lineal thing. That's a very delicate issue, I know, but the fact is that in 2007, we made a decision as a nation on who can be a tribal member.
We're not doing anything else today.
And the Constitution says anybody that is a lineal descent that can provide those 3 generations of documentation is eligible to be a tribal member. It doesn't say they are automatically. It says they're eligible to be. And again, that's a decision this body makes. And if you make the decision that they're not going to be a tribal member, you owe them an explanation. A lot of them sat here for years and years and years and years, and this body refused to make a decision. And that's just totally unethical. Because they deserve that. If they meet the requirements of the Constitution, they deserve a decision. They were given a piece of paper when they were given their enrollment application that said a decision would be made within 6 months, I think, 180 days. Some sat for 5 years to make a decision. That's unethical. So with that, I'm gonna also say clean up the ethics process because this body corrupted it in 2019. It needs to be fixed before you can hear any other ethical complaints.
Wayne, before we go, could you make a motion for us to bring this back on the 27th with the final draft?
Move to add the grazing resolution to the agenda for the 27th.
Second by Emily, question by Marion, all in favor?
Thank you, everyone.
All in favor?
All in favor?
All in favor?
Okay.
They're all in favor. Mike, are you voting?
Get them all?
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
Voted.
Mary did. You love it.
Opposed? Okay. All
What'd you do?